I'm freaking out, man. You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men power want? More power.
And now, broadcasting live on GMN from an undisclosed location in the Arizona desert, Italian by birth, American by choice, songwriter, poet, freedom activist, Luca Zanna with Love, Guns, and Freedom.
All systems go.
Hi everybody, this is Luca Zanna. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on K-Talks 1340 AM and on Guerrilla Media Network. Another Sunday, another show. And, it is getting very, very interesting because sometimes I always worry, how can I fill 3 hours with information and trying to get something worth for your ears, my friends? Guess what? It's not that difficult because we are living really in interesting times. And interesting means that not always everything is so great. We are facing a lot of tyranny. We are facing a lot of evil. And at the same time, it's pretty much, there is so much to share with you. And today you will listen, especially during the second hour, what type of sad event happened to this American that, but just be curious. Second hour, don't miss it. But now let's talk about the first hour because I have some great solutions. I really try to bring out, at this point, most of you, and if you're new to the show, you may probably catch up pretty fast because it's already almost midnight here. We are really coming close to a crisis, and it's not just a constitutional crisis. This is pretty much life or death crisis. I call it a tyranny crisis. And if you don't see it now, I'm sorry, there is nothing more we can do. But for the people that have seen it and they woke up and they want to wake up their fellow Americans, we need to try to be proactive. I always believe that being proactive is better than being reactive in every situation, in a self-defense situation, and especially when we have a potential pretty much Nazi Germany scenario that is pretty much surrounding us. Now, first of all, I said, know your problems, know the problems, share the knowledge, share to your fellow neighbors, family, everybody, what's going on. Let's reach critical mass. Then, of course, we got to start to find solutions. I still believe, especially at state level and local level, we have hope. The county sheriff, it's very important. I will talk with you guys. We have also a project that we're going to share is the Constitutional County Project. It's a very important solution. But also there's another part that I've been talking about it. We had several guests in the past. And, we had the Oath Keepers. I also had Mark Corky, one of the leaders in the militia movement, especially in the 90s. And the idea is, let's learn what the militia is. Let's learn why it was important, vital part of American history, and while it will be, and it is still a vital part to pretty much resist evil. And I tell you guys, we are surrounded, and if you think that there is a superhero coming from Washington, D.C. on a white horse, I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. If you want to find the hero, if you want to find the solution at night when you brush your teeth, you got to look at yourself in the mirror because we are the answer. We are the solution. So the last 5 years, I had the chance, the honor to meet very interesting people that I respect, and they gave me inspiration to do other things. And I've been a guest on his show several times. And today I have a guy that is not a guy, but he's a man, and is an interesting character because I believe that what he's trying to do, what he's been trying to do, is to organize law-abiding American citizens. And when I say law-abiding, means we respect the Constitution as the supreme law of the land, and the law must be just and pretty much according to the Bill of Rights. Because even Hitler wrote he didn't write, but let's say he executed a lot of laws, okay? So let's watch that. Anyway, Free Bird, are you there? From the Watchmen of America.
I'm here, Luca.
Very good, Free Bird. First of all, where are you calling from? Give me an idea.
I'm actually calling you from Alabama. I moved from Kentucky to Alabama this past year.
I don't know why I was thinking about Florida. I think I got mistaken, maybe something else. Anyway, not that far. So you are,
I'd like to be in Florida right about now because of the weather.
Good. And what is Alabama going on? What is the situation? What is the political situation, first of all, in Alabama? As people who believe freedom, that we believe in the Constitution, the state itself. What is your feedback?
The South has always been a solid foundation of old school thought and beliefs, and usually the things that happen in this country, the bad things that happen politically, always advances in the North faster than it does in the South. But we all know that corruption, especially political corruption, exists everywhere. It's no different in the South than it is in the North. But what you'll find in the South, especially what I can speak of in Alabama, is a lot of people here are patriots. It's more obvious and recognizable when you're out interacting with people that they are more aware of what's going on. They have a deep disrespect for this administration we have, and it's not very hard to find them talking about those situations where if you're in the North and you go into a cafe and you sit down, you're less likely to find conversations about what's going on in Congress and how bad it is, or a bad conversation about Obama or something like that. But down in the South, they're more outspoken and they speak freely of it. It's and I live in essence what's called the Bible Belt. So a lot of what's going on today really affects people that live in these areas.
I understand. And please, it's funny because so far I've always been your guest at your show. And by the way, I want to thank you again for the opportunity also, to inspire me, because when I had the opportunity somebody gave me the opportunity to be on the radio, I was thinking about, I was thinking about our conversations, our interviews, like I did also other interviews with other friends. And I think, it's important. It's important to try to do whatever we can to reach out our fellow Americans. And the radio, I don't care if it's internet or if it's on the radio broadcasting, it's a way that we have. Until we have it, we got to use it. So I want to thank you for that. And now, finally, I'm the one I can ask some questions.
Absolutely.
Normally,
Turnabout's fair play.
Perfect. So, Lisa, first of all, Freebird, tell me a little bit about you, because I know that you're, this is your nickname. Your name is another name.
Right.
But where are you? Where are you from? What is your background? Well, let's talk a little bit as an American. Where are you, Freebird?
I grew up and was born in Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
I did live in Florida for a brief period of time as a child. We kind of moved back and forth from Florida to Kentucky. And by the time I was about 10 or 12, we settled back in Kentucky, and I pretty much spent, other than work, I spent most of my adult life there. I did travel quite a bit with my work, and I was one of those kids that just didn't know what they wanted to do when they grew up, so I took a lot of different vocations. I really liked carpentry and working with my hands and working outdoors, so I was being tutored by a master carpenter by the time I was 16. But I did get I stayed in school. I went to law school for a while. And then during that time, I studied architecture because that went along with my carpentry construction type of knowledge, and building design and construction technology. But I also studied psychology. And I just really didn't know which direction I wanted to go. Mm-hmm. But I settled in on construction. It was just once I got out there and you take this raw pile of materials and you're actually using your hands and your knowledge and your skills and you're building something. And when you walk away at the end of the day, you can look back over your shoulder and imagine that, someone or some company or whatever, some family may be living in that house someday. Some business may be thriving and prospering from your constructing that building someday. And it leaves a solid piece of history that will be here long after I'm, dead and gone. And it was just enjoyable to work outdoors. So I spent most of my life in the construction field and advanced quite fast through my career.
Are you still working in the construction business?
Well,
I'm just curious.
No, I suffered a tragedy back when I was 43, which is quite a few years ago, about 9 years ago. I am unable to work now, but when I was at that prime in my career, I was a developer, and I was that guy that went in and bought that raw land and built 2,000 homes.
Okay.
Put in the streets, roads, the whole 9 yards. I did a lot of commercial construction as well. But I just like working outdoors and being able to, carve a path and leave something behind is just a phenomenal feeling.
Now, question, from entrepreneur and of course also a man that really likes to build and building pretty much in a building business. How did you get involved in this Watchmen of America? And tell us a little bit exactly. By the way, I would like to invite everybody to go to watchmenofamerica.com. And there is pretty much a very beautiful site with a page that pretty much describes what it is and give you a lot of answer. But tell us, how did you get involved with this idea, Watchmen of America, and what exactly it is?
Well, it started back in, it's a long story. Early on, I've always been a patriot. Even back in my early 20s, I had gotten involved with some militia groups there in Kentucky, where I had lived, and always was curious. I was unable to serve in the military officially due to some injuries I had back in high school. So I participated in other things.
Like what, if I can ask you? Can we talk?
I got involved in the militias and people that were around military. A lot of them were military vets and things of that nature. And I was always curious about them and what they stood for. Now, you got to keep in mind, this is in a period of time when back in the 80s, when right before the Oklahoma City bombing, militias were strong in this country.
Yes.
They some of these groups, the most famous was the Michigan militia, which boistered over 10,000 members.
Wow.
And that was the most well-organized group since the revolutionary days in this country. So, there was a time then when people understood what the militia were. They weren't afraid of them, but they were radicalized by stereotype by the federal government after the Oklahoma City bombing. They tried to claim that Timothy McVeigh was part of the militia and all that stuff. And it was simply untrue. He was never a member of the Michigan militia. But they did that on purpose because of the growing fear of the government, because these militias had in several instances stood the ground between the citizens and the federal government and won. In other words, there were numerous cases where they would get in front of the federal government and say, you're not going to illegally take these people's property, and they would surround the property with their soldiers and guns and everything else, and the federal government backed down.
Yes.
And so they saw that as a big, humongous threat, and so they had to do something to tear the militia down. So back in the 80s, when all this sort of stuff started taking place, and especially after Oklahoma City bombing, organizations like the Southern Poverty Lie Center, I call them Lie Center because that's what they do.
They are.
They were hired, a lot of people don't know that, by the federal government. They were receiving money from the federal government to go out here and put out propaganda to demonize and stereotype legitimate constitutional militias as radicals, extreme radicals, anarchists, et cetera, et cetera. So during that time, I kind of got curious about these folks. I hung around with them, and the groups that I found were not like that at all. They weren't radical. They were just God-fearing, American-loving, freedom-enjoying citizens, and they wanted to protect those rights.
And by the way, I would like to remind to the listeners, for example, especially for the listeners in Arizona, if you read our Arizona Constitution and our Arizona Revised Statute laws, everybody that is at least 18 years old till 45, automatically you are the militia, okay? And this is something that people, we have been brainwashed by design the last 30, 40 years, and you were saying right, Oklahoma City was another false flag. I had here also on the show one of the producer of the documentary about Oklahoma City, I forgot the name anyway, it was an incredible documentary that proves without any type of doubts the federal government lied about this event, and Timothy Gay wasn't what we've been told. So regardless, militia was the foundation of this country. Now, every time you listen to the news or you watch a movie, the militia, the evil, white supremacists, bad people. Instead, it's not the case. The militia, it's we the people, united by the Constitution, our Bill of Rights, in the common defense for our rights, our property, and our lives. And it's not just against the aliens coming from some planet like DC. It is also against natural calamities. Could be a tornado, could be some sort of rioting. So that's the bottom line. But continue, please.
Well, what you said is true, and that's one of the biggest single misconceptions in this country because of propaganda that's been put out. Is that people join groups and call them militias, and they're radical and they're bad and they're anti-government and all, but that's not exactly what's going on here. In fact, everyone, all the way back to the colonial days, is the militia. And they give it the name militia, which is nothing more than a citizen soldier. So someone had to defend the colonies against the intrusion of the British soldiers from the king. And so they established that the militia would include all, at that time, males between 17 and 45 had to become part of the militia. And there were other reasons for having that militia as well, because in these colonies, they didn't have a government support. And so when there was a fire or a tragedy or a natural disaster, they had to be able to call upon the civilians to come to the aid of each other. And that's what the militia did. So they had a public or civil service function in there as well, so that it wasn't just about fighting tyranny all the time.
Exactly.
It was about protecting each other. And everybody today does not understand they are the militia. Now, just because a few guys join together as militia and call themselves a militia group is irrelevant.
Exactly.
They're just wanting to organize, and usually rightfully so, because things are getting worse in this country, and they're coming together in groups to say, if this happens in our state, if this bad thing comes our way, we're going to have to protect our people. As a group, we need to know how to do that. So they form groups, and they call themselves, the Kentucky Mountain Rangers or the Ohio Valley Freedom Fighters or whatever they may be.
Or even just your neighborhood, because sometimes...
just your neighborhood.
Yeah, you don't even need to have a name. The point is...
You don't even have to have a name.
Exactly. Your family.
It can be unofficial or official or whatever, but the way to recognize groups out there that are what you would consider a lawful militia are what we consider constitutional militias. In other words, they don't disobey the law, they don't radicalize themselves, they don't break laws in order to support their freedoms. In other words, they're strictly a defensive group that wants to prepare for the worst case scenario, because what everybody doesn't understand is this country has already been befallen to tyranny. It's already done. It's not coming. It's not something down the road. It's here. It's already happening. And things are only going to get worse, period. End of story, fact, that's it. It's only going to get worse. Today they passed a net neutrality law.
There was even, by the way,
to the FCC.
You know what is sad? This is not even a law. We elected Congress somehow. These are a pile of garbage. They call it rules, or even whatever they want.
Make up the rules.
Yeah, they're just now. Yeah, now we are not under a country, with the rule of law. That's why normally we elect people and they vote, and then we can vote them out. No, now we have bureaucrats passing regulations.
Right.
Think how
they're going to regulate everything.
And my question is, what is it doing? Congress is completely gone. It's
just hijacked.
It's been like at the time of Caligula. The Senate, it was 13 in the emperor. And
right.
this is the reality. I mean, seriously. Like
for reality.
Now when we have, for example, the ATF, that without any type of legislative powers, after all, they're just an unconstitutional agency, they decided they can start write laws and banning an ammunition just because they say so. The green tip, the 5.56 green tip, they call it armor piercing. And by the way, it's pretty much, even if it was armor piercing, that's not their business, and it's our right to have that type of ammunition. But that's another story. The point is, ATF is not Congress, and pretty much with the power, with the support of the tyrant-in-chief at the White House, Mr. Obama, now pretty much have writing laws. And this is the definition of tyranny. And that's why people must understand we are living right now already in a new America. We don't need to wait a few years to think things going to get worse. They are already gone.
It's here.
It's here.
Wolf is already at the door.
So it's only a question when they're going to come and knock at your door. And just because you didn't have that type of experience yet, you want to ignore that you still live in Kansas. No, this is not Kansas anymore, okay?
That's the worst problem with what's wrong with America today is there's so many people out there that are not taking their responsibility as a citizen and as an American and as a patriot serious enough. In other words, they look at things that they see on the news and other people gripe about it and everything, but their attitude is, if it isn't in my backyard, if it hasn't happened to me personally, then it's a non-issue until it does. And that's not the proper way of thinking. That's not the way the colonists had to think back in our revolutionary days. They had to look after each other. And what one person's problem was the entire colony's problem. And that's the way it needs to be today. People need to sit up and realize that, it may not be affecting me today, but it will eventually. And by the time it does, it'll be too late to do anything about it then. And the time to do something is when it's affecting your brothers and your sisters and anybody from an unjust law or unjust statutes or the advancement of tyranny. When it starts impacting anybody in the citizenry, to a point that it denies them their freedom and their liberty, then it should affect us all. So just because it doesn't personally impact us, it should affect us to a point where we need to stand up for the other person as well. But that's what's wrong with this country. And so, I learned a lot by getting involved with these militias. And I was learning which ones were in fact radical, which ones were not. And
by the way, Mike, excuse me, Freebird, you know very well, especially during the 90s, to try to completely destroy the militia movement, there were created a lot of infiltrators, the federal government, like they did in the 60s with the civil rights movements, okay? There'd been a lot of declassified documents by the FBI. They were infiltrating groups and trying to radicalize them, trying to instigate them, trying to pretty much make them spin off. And at that point, the media and all the propaganda will come after. So I wouldn't be surprised that among the different people you met, I'm sure there's always some idiot out there, don't get me wrong, but there is also a lot of people that are being bought out by infiltrators, by the FBI or other agencies. This is a fact. I mean, this is proven many times. Now, I would like to remind to the listeners that this country, we did not have, and our founding fathers despised the idea of a standing army. And we did not have the type of professionals like we have today, because our founding fathers understood that if you want to keep a country free, the moment that you start to have a standing army, they become pretty much stable. You can pretty much control that army. And the army is going to be part of a system also called the military-industrial complex system that at that point can be used against you. Probably now we still have a lot of good people in our military, but let's not forget that most of our soldiers, at least the best one, they've been shipped out overseas. 80% of our force, it's overseas. And according to many sources that I have, they do tests, and the people that are going to pretty much bring back home, they're the people that they have the IQ level of a room temperature, and many times pretty much they have no allegiance to our Constitution. And so that's the point, let's think about it. The militia was exactly the answer to tyranny, because how can you take over a country when you're part of the country. You are a citizen first, and then you also, of course, militia member. So something to remember. Now, on the website, watchmenofamerica.com, and by the way, you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna, and we're talking with Freebird from Alabama, one of the organizers and founder of this group, Watchmen of America. Now, Freebird, tell us, how did you get involved with this Watchmen of America? How did you come out with this sort of concept?
Back in my youth, I had, gotten away from the whole militia thing because a lot of the militias went underground after the Oklahoma City bombing situation, and they were demonized by the federal government and the media. And I just more or less backed out of it. There for a while, you couldn't even find a militia if you wanted to participate in as a group. So it kind of just got away from my mind, but I had cherished those friendships that I had made and the knowledge of those people and being able to go out and train with them and learn. I learned more about the Constitution, the history of this country, and what's lawful from those people than I did in school. So I relished in that knowledge, and I kept it with me for many years. And then what happened was Katrina. And, of course, 9/11 happened, and then Katrina. And after Katrina was a really, really, really big eye-opener for me. I saw how the federal government did those people and how many probably lives could have been saved if we had a civilian force that could have went in there and helped. And, it was just a travesty to watch the federal government cordon off an area and not bring assistance in, but not let anybody in or out of that area. Even people who were trying to escape the disaster, they were not permitted to leave. That's not their right to do that. They're supposed to help in situations like this, not, deter people from being saved and getting them the assistance. But anyhow, it really changed my attitude toward a lot of things with respect to the government. I never did fully believe the 9/11 story to begin with, but this just added to it. And so
Even my dogs, by the way, don't believe it. You know that. I got two dogs, and they laugh at me. Every time I say Building 7, say, ha, 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 ha. You still believe that bunch of lies. Yeah, I understand the feeling.
I started a little website. Back then it was very small. I called it Patriot Resistance, and it was one of the very, very first Patriot-related websites that was attempting to build a social network on the Internet. And
when was that? So, which year was that? When we were?
It was probably in about 2006, right after Katrina.
Okay.
And the purpose was to I was learning. I was coming awake, and I seen all this stuff, and people were, with the Internet the way it was, people were coming forth with this more and more and more information. I was like, well, I'm going to put all this information in this website and share it, and then offer a place up for people to come and learn and share these things and learn these facts and research it themselves. And that's what became of a website called patriotresistance.com. And in that process, I met people. We had our own chat rooms, and it was pretty advanced for a website for its time.
Yes.
But I met some people, and we became close friends. And I think at that time we had probably, 15, 20,000 members, which was phenomenal back then.
Yeah, it's huge.
And it was just basically a clearinghouse of information. People could come and post stuff that they found, and people would share their ideas about it and things like that. But I met some people, and we became very close, and we kept discussing all the issues and the problems in the country, and then the issue came up, well, what about the militia? What if something happens? What if this country goes south and collapses, and we need to have some sort of civil support? Who's going to defend us? And that's where I came in, because I had that militia experience earlier in my life, and I said, well, there's going to be issues about the militia. There's a lot of organizations out there that are calling themselves militias, but they're not really militias. They're anarchists, or they're white supremacists, or a number of things. And people are going to have to learn how to identify the difference. But, what are the strengths of the militia today? How many groups would we be able to find? Are they organized? Do they have ways to communicate if the grid goes down? There were so many unanswered questions. So at one point, there was 14 of us in this little small clique of a group that we used to get together weekly and talk. And we said, well, let's meet somewhere and let's actually look face to face and see what we can do to discuss these issues and see if there's a solution. Let's talk it out. Let's have a mini kind of a conference, a patriot conference,
That was what it was in which state? Kentucky, you were there?
No, it was I actually decided to hold it in a little park in St. Clair, Missouri.
Wow, interesting.
It was more neutral for everybody, and these people come from all walks of life. So we're college professors, teachers, law enforcement, military people. They had a wide variety of backgrounds: medical, construction, everything you could think of.
By the way, I am on patriotresistance.com. The site is still up there, and
it's very, very. Old and archived at this point because it's more or less we kind of moved everything over to Watchmen of America, but it's still there because of all the resources in the libraries and videos and things that were posted there at one time. I just never could have the heart to take it down yet, but it's probably going to be phased out here in the next year. But it's still there. Yeah,
there's still links and there's a lot of archives, a lot of information. Now, what I see here on Watchmen of America says, what we are not. We are not white supremacists. We are not anti-Semitics. We are not anarchists. We are not vigilantes. We are not criminals. We are not a hate group. We are not revolutionists. We are the anti-revolutionists. The revolutionaries are the people right now in Washington who wants to destroy this republic and want to pretty much revolutionize. We want to defend this republic. We are not anti-government.
Well, we have to put that up there, post it publicly, and it's a shame that we have to do that because, of course, anybody that's a watchman already knows. But
about the newcomers from
the propaganda put out not only about the Watchmen but about any patriot group. Doesn't matter whether you're an Oath Keepers or you're part of the Patriot movement, you're part of the Tea Party, you're part of the 912ers. It doesn't matter what the group. You could be 3%ers. They're going to claim. Organizations like the Southern Poverty Lie Center. Okay. You're all of these things, and you're not. So we specifically state that we're not.
I have a question for you, Freebird. Let's see if you get 5 points for this one.
Okay.
Did you get the honor to be featured on the Southern Poverty Law, you or the Watchman?
I was one of the very first. Patriot Resistance was actually had the distinct honor to be posted on their material as well as myself. And then when the Watchmen organization was created, we are also on there. And what pleases me so much is they get to do it so many times because we have chapters in almost every state. So they just like every month a new state appears on there.
All right, now you got double points there. I'll give you 10 points. Excellent. It's true, guys. Let me tell you something because this is so sad. We are laughing, but this is serious. Unfortunately, the Southern Poverty Laws, it is a biased, corrupted communist organization. Not even communist. They got millions of dollars in their bank, okay? And they're pretty much, it's like, was pretty much working for the federal government to try to create propaganda, to try to intimidate our freedom of speech and the basics foundation of this country. If you believe in God, if you believe in the Second Amendment, if you believe that this is a republic and we have individual rights, if you do not believe in the global government, all the things that you already know that according to the Mayak report and many other federal documents from Homeland Security and other agencies now pretty much is on the open. These bastards, the Southern Poverty Law, not only they do sort of reports, they go to the local law enforcement and they think just because they've been blessed by the FBI, they have the holy blessing from the FBI, by the FBI, they think pretty much they can train law enforcement. Probably many older police and peace officers and sheriff deputies may understand this is a bunch of propaganda. Unfortunately, the new generation of law enforcement, like they call themselves, they don't call themselves anymore peace officers because now it's about pretty much enforcing any law, doesn't care which law. They pretty much believe what they're being told, and that's the scary thing. So whenever you will see on this Southern Poverty Law, a group of several type of people from different type of backgrounds. Some, they are legitimate, really, talking about the Constitution. Bang, you're going to get there. Glenn Beck is there. You see, Mike was there just because he's talking about the militia. Simple things. Natural things for an American heritage. They put me in the nativist. And good to check it out. I was even born here. I was laughing. But that's funny, So the point is, it's a bunch of propaganda. But then they mix you and match with real bad people. There are some real groups, and they make you look really bad. Right, so they put like 19 of us, decent human beings, maybe not perfect, but we do nothing wrong, not break any laws, do nothing wrong, just exercising our rights. And then they mix you up with the 10% of real scum, and they try to make you look bad.
Well, that's exactly what they do. They take good people just because they're part of an activist movement, or there's people that have done patriot music that have wound up on their list as an anarchist or anti-government. They take these good people and they throw them in a bushel, and they throw one or two bad apples in there, and you know what happens? The bad apples will spoil all the rest of them in the eyes of the public. So, and what a lot of people do not know is they get a lot of their funding from the federal government. And in fact, at this point in time, they are actually contracted and work under the Department of Homeland Security. And of course, Mark Potok is the number one turd that stinks up the place over there at SPLC. Yes. But he is known for publishing many false statistical reports. They just make up these numbers. They make up who is going to be listed on the blacklist of evil groups, patriot groups. Their biggest kick right now, don't know if you know this or not, but we have our own intelligence community that just got our hands on a 7-page report that the Department of Homeland Security is putting out, and guess where most of the information came from? It came from SPLC.
Great.
Well, they're attacking, and they're, like you just now said, they call themselves and they had no authority or really reason to be doing this, but they're calling themselves the authority to educate law enforcement. So they go around the country and they educate sheriffs and police departments, and their biggest thing right now is they put out a 7-page report on the sovereign citizen movement.
Yes.
And now, if you have a certain type of bumper sticker, if you get pulled over and you say a certain type of keyword, like, I'm exercising my rights, they automatically are told to classify you as a sovereign. So you're being pulled over, and the cop, starts questioning you. You say, well, I'd like to exercise my right to remain silent and talk to my attorney before I say anything else. That doesn't mean you're a sovereign. It just means you're a citizen who knows the law and you're exercising your rights. But what they have to do is they have to categorize you and classify you as a bad person. So they're saying now they're teaching cops to automatically assume that when the word rights come out of your mouth during a traffic stop, you are a sovereign citizen, and they are to address you and elevate the situation aggressively because you are a potentially life-threatening element that could cause a problem for that police officer. It is absolutely insane what they have put out in this report, and that's the type of stuff that they do. And we actually created a major, 50, 60 page report that tells the entire story from the beginning to the end and all of the corruption and the misdeeds of exactly what the SPLC is. It's called the SPLC Exposed, which is available through our website.
Perfect. And by the way, this is important because what they're trying to do, it is not just to pretty much try to silence our First Amendment and try to even exercise our basic rights, talking about rights. This is exactly what they do. They're trying to create this sort of division and fear, and more important, sooner or later it's going to unfortunately explode in something bad between us and our brothers and sisters who are as peace officers, okay? They try to pretty much brainwash a good part of the other side, so they want to create this sort of violence because it's not going to take very much. When we have many cases, more and more, that the young officer coming out of the federal program of, this training, now it's all federalized, and they don't tell you anymore, this is Republican, we have rights. No, you are a law enforcement, and if they don't comply immediately, you beat them up, and you are okay. And I mean, seriously, this has changed so much. I grew up in Italy, and when I used to watch movies about America, even when the 70s or the 60s, these movies the classics, you see, even through this movie, they were pretty much a reflection of reality. There was still America, even with its imperfections, with its problem. But you had people, the police, don't get me wrong, they were corrupted police anytime, anywhere, since the creation of humankind. Okay, we are humans, so there is a good and the bad every time. But the point is, at the time, you had peace officers. They were there to try to help, or at least they were trying their best. They were among the community. They were knowing people by name. Now you see they look like Robocop, okay? And they're no more trained to help and to defend our rights. They're here as the enforcers. So it's different. And when you have, this training coming, hey, if somebody with a bumper sticker of Ron Paul, of the snake, don't tread on me, or they talk about the constitutional rights, they already reach for their gun. They're being told,
yes.
Be careful.
They're trained to do that.
Yeah, they're going to shoot you. So be careful.
They are brainwashed. That's the perfect word you used a while ago. They're brainwashed, these young police officers, to think that you're an immediate life threat toward them simply because they've been able to put you into a certain classification. So that, they're brainwashing these law enforcement officers against the citizens by classifying them in one of many different categories that they create fictionally, whether you're a part of an organization or a group or not. They're still going to classify you. Just like Luca said, if you got a Ron Paul bumper sticker, they're going to approach you differently than if you did not.
Exactly. And Freebird, please, I have a lot of listeners that I know that they're sheriff deputies, especially in Mojave County. They listen to the show. We have a lot of constitutional deputies here. They believe, and they're part of our communities on top. They live with us.
Absolutely.
They understand that when tyranny comes to us, they're going to be their families. They're pretty much part of the pack too. They're not going to live on another planet. So we got to stick together. And if you have the opportunity to talk to them, give them like a short message, pretty much what do you think about. This is from the Freebird, one of the founder of this organization of patriots, Americans, men and women who believes in the Constitution. It's called the Watchmen of America. He has something to say to you. Police officer, peace officer, please, deputy sheriff, listen. Go ahead. You got the floor.
Well, the Watchmen of America and all the members that have grown to relish in our organization realize that we support law enforcement, we support our military, we support numerous federal agencies. We don't believe in the necessary existence of some of those, but the people who work in these positions, and I'm talking about organizations like FBI, ATF, Homeland Security, we realize that not all of you folks are bad people. Just like we are not bad people. We're not anti-government. We don't have any plans nor any desire to storm the government and take it over, as what other people like the Southern Poverty Law Center would have you believe. Mm-hmm. In fact, we have built this organization on a solid foundation, and most of those people who come and explore us, and we know that a lot of law enforcement come to us and check us out, and rightfully so. They want to know if we're a threat, if we're dangerous to them. They come and they check us out, and they actually contact us and say, how can we join? So they come to us and they know that, well, if I join this organization and I'm a sheriff or I'm a police chief, or I work for the Department of Homeland Security, I'll lose my job. But I believe in what these people stand for, and if this country collapses, I'm going to stand on the side of the people, not the tyrannical government. And I know for a fact that there's a lot of people that will walk off of those jobs and go home and be a part of the civilian community and protect against the tyranny that's coming. they said, how can I join if I lose my job? So we actually created a special program called a ghost membership, which allows them to join anonymously. And I can tell you right now, a large percentage of our membership does include all of those people: law enforcement, police officers, retired and active duty, sheriffs, their deputies. We've got FBI. We've got Department of Homeland Security people. We've got active duty military people. Even some people over in the sandbox overseas. They're all Watchmen members.
Now,
and it allows them to join anonymously so that they don't put their jobs at risk.
Mm-hmm. Mike, a question. Let's say you become a member. First of all, what do you offer? I mean, besides, of course, you have a great website. The idea, I think, it's pretty much something that could inspire. You don't even need to really join. You just get the inspiration of what you're doing, and people can do also in their own communities. But you also have a specific plan with a membership fee, and you offer something. Tell us a little bit more about it.
It's very, very hard to describe the entire benefit because there's so many, both material and intrinsic. But we are a membership-based organization. That was one of the things we decided upon a long time ago. And here's the reason for that. This entire movement, if we think all the way back even to the revolutionary days, the colonists did not have any support. Mm-hmm. They had to produce and provide for their own weapons and everything. And there was no help for them. And of course, here comes the British, and they have everything. They've got cannons and guns and everything, so it was very tough to fight that Revolutionary War because there was no supply. There was no support whatsoever. And that was one of the things we decided when we created this organization. It was one of the issues that was laid out on the table is, what's the situation in America today? Do people have a way to get the things they're going to need? Whether they plan on fighting or not, they're going to have to survive this war. They're going to have food and water and means to survive.
And training. I mean, also the training.
And training and knowledge and skill, because hospitals are going to become closed. What if you've got a medical emergency? Things of that nature. Do they have the stuff they need, both knowledge and skill and material things, that they're going to need to survive this? And, of course, everybody has heard and seen all the shows about survivalism and prepping and putting away stuff and everything. But our thing was, how are poor people going to do that? Because they have destroyed our economy. Yeah. There's no way for people to get the money to do these things. It's a very expensive venture to go out and stock up a year's supply of food. Mm-hmm. How are the people going to be able to do that? Could we create something that would help them do that? And so think of a Watchmen of America. The easiest terms that I can give to people is to think of it as a giant co-op. Mm-hmm. In other words, what you and I, Luca, could decide, look, we need to go out and stockpile some MREs for a bad day. Well, between the two of us, we can only afford so much, and we're going to have to pay retail price. That maybe we can find a discount here or there, but it's very expensive. But what if 50 of us got together, Luca, and we went down to some supplier and said, we want to buy 2,000 MREs. Can you give us a better price? They're going to give you a better price.
Yes. And you have also, excuse me.
You're buying in bulk.
In bulk. Speaking about bulk, I went through your website. There is also watchmenofamerica.com. You go to a link called products. You got a pretty amazing shopping website. It's called techgearzone.com. Yes. And there's a lot of good stuff, I'm telling you, from electronics to body armor to
we
fire.
manufacture our own body armor.
I mean, amazing stuff. I'm telling you, I'm pretty impressed the quality of the site, also the products and prices, because I'm telling you, I shop around with this stuff myself. You got some good stuff.
I'll tell you what's amazing there. When you go there, and all of your listeners can too, that's the zone price of the store that we own through the Watchmen of America. There's a manufacturer-suggested retail price shown there, and then there's what's called zone price. Mm-hmm. And you'll notice that those are pretty good discounted prices.
Yes.
But the price for a Watchmen member is even lower than that.
You got a discount as a member?
Well, here's the way it works. Mm-hmm. Remember, we're a giant collective now. If we can collectively come together in large numbers, we're not dealing with retailers, we're not dealing with distributors or even wholesalers. Mm-hmm. We now have the buying power to go straight to the factories who make these things and say, now we want to negotiate. We're not buying 100 uniforms this year. We're buying 1,000. Or we're buying 1,000 of these, this product or that product. And they say, well, fine, we will allow you to purchase straight from us now and eliminate all these middlemen. So the price you're going to see as a Watchmen member, there's a third price you're not seeing there.
Wow.
And it's called the membership price, the WOA membership price. And it's typically about 20 to 30% over the factory cost, because we have to get it shipped and we have some expenses there. But you're saving anywhere from 60 to 80% of the normal price on those products. And there's some products there in that store that we manufacture ourselves, like the body armor. So we produce our own products as well. We've got the ultimate, what we call the ultimate IFAC kit. That stands for individual first aid kit. And where a normal military issue IFAC kit, this is what the soldiers carry on their body in the field, might have 7 items in it. Ours has 43 items.
No, it's beautiful. I tell you, and by the way, at least all the items I'm going through right now, they're all brand new. I mean, not even
Everything
surplus.
is brand new. There's no surplus or used items. Everything's brand new.
I mean, pretty amazing stuff. And, a few years ago, I went there to the site. I see there is a lot of new stuff. Pretty amazing. Right. So,
it's part of just one benefit is the fact that one of the issues that we started this organization based on was how can we help people get the things they're going to need. But there's more to it. There's education, training, and knowledge and skills that they're going to need. And how are we going to do that on such a massive level? And so we decided that the best way to do that is to have state chapters in all the various states that we can achieve that in. And so we've got state chapters led by a commander in each state, and they're responsible for their entire state. And they pull these people together in community after community and county after county, and they work autonomously. We don't look over their shoulder and tell them, you have to do this, you have to do that. They're completely autonomous. They're affiliated with Watchmen National in order to receive and get the additional support and benefits that we can offer as a national organization. That's what gives us our advantage, is national collectiveness. And then it's applied at the local level, state by state, city by city.
Perfect. And by the way, I would like to remind to our listeners, I bring you here different solutions. It's up to you to decide what is best for you. I brought you the Oath Keepers. I brought you, for example, Mark Cornkey tried to give you the idea how to create a militia in your own family, in your neighbors. Now we have the Watchmen. I mean, the bottom line is, I'm trying to bring you things that you can choose. You can, if you want to do something now for this country, for our present, not just for the future. This is happening now. I think it must be involved. Politically, we said we got to do our part. We got to be good citizens, going out, voting, more important, locally. I don't believe much of federal, but we do what we can even there. Now I think it's time, and time is running short, to prepare for any type of emergency. It could be food shortage, could be hyperinflation, could be anything. I would like to remind everybody that FEMA, a couple of years ago in December 2013, signed for the first time in the American history. And this is directly from FEMA website, so don't laugh at me if you are a new listener, you think I'm a bunch of tinfoil hat here, okay? From FEMA.gov. FEMA signed an agreement with the Russian military to have Russian special forces on U.S. soil to patrol the streets of America and to keep us safe in case of a national disaster. Mike, you were aware about that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We were talking about benefits and being a member of the Watchmen of America, and there's a lot of intrinsic benefits as well. One of them is that we have the nation's foremost, what we call Patriot Alert System. And it's actually composed of field intelligence people that can report intel, can go out and verify intel. It includes a clearinghouse where nationally, if information comes in, it's run through a process of dissemination and verified, and then if it's depending on the state of if it's a real emergency, we would post that information back out to all the members. Now, we all know that in a very, very serious situation, the internet will probably go down, and they're going to cut off all forms of TV and cell phones and all that stuff. So as part of that additional element is we are developing a very sophisticated national comms plan where we will be able to communicate and get this information out, even if the grid goes down. We're completely going to be off grid with the communication system so that people can get the information they're going to need to know if a collapse does take place. But a lot of this information that comes in, the things that are happening all the time, we report on that all the time through our radio network. We have our own radio network that people can enjoy. It's called Patriot. It's called prnradionetwork.com. And there's a couple, 2 or 3 shows on there that's all they do is disseminate intel and the news and the stories of the day and tell you what's really going on that they're not telling you. And it's very, very interesting for that. But there's a lot more to this networking on a national level than people realize that becomes a benefit to them. Getting a heads up or first alert if something's bad's getting ready to happen I don't know how you could put a price on that.
Perfect. Mike, listen, we're almost at the end of the hour. I wanted to say, first of all, thank you. Thank you for all these years to be in touch with me, to have you on your show, and for all you're doing, and to inspire other people to do their part. And by the way, I wanted to remind you, I will also send you Love, Guns, and Freedom Sunday show to you, and I hope you can rebroadcast also on your website.
We will be doing that, absolutely. And thank you, Luca, for having me on, and it's been a pleasure to know you and support you and your music and all the stuff that you've been doing. This is a part of it, folks. You know, you've got to get in your circles, find out who's real and who isn't, and you're going to have to start working together. This is the only way we're going to survive at the end of the day, is through collectiveness and security with one another and preparing for the worst case scenarios. And that's what the Watchmen of America is all about.
Perfect. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna, ready to go for the second hour. You've been listening, more important, to Free Bird from Alabama from the Watchmen of America.com. Talk to you later, Free Birds. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman.
I'm not afraid.
And a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth.
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Gianluca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Gianluca Zanna on Guerrilla Media Network. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Gianluca Zanna on Guerrilla Media Network. Hi everybody, this is Luca Zanna. Welcome to the second hour of Love, Guns, and Freedom on K-Talks 1340 AM and on Guerrilla Media Network. Don't forget, you can also go to the website www.lovegunsfreedom.com. You know very well at this point, after almost 15 months doing this show, the second hour, it is about guns. But not just guns and training, like we will do, by the way, during the second part of the second hour. We also talk about gun rights and also how to exercise our rights and also what really we are losing every day. And as I said many times, rights are like muscles. Or we use them or we lose them. And I know, sometimes it's a sacrifice, it's a little risky, but guess what? This is exactly where we are, the way we are right now, because unfortunately we let it go for too long. And I really tell you something, I watched a video yesterday on YouTube. A friend of mine, Cope Reynolds, that is also a guest of the show many times, he sent this video out about a family. It wasn't just a man, it wasn't just a father. There was also a mother, and there was also a daughter. And I was so moved by this family together exercising their rights. Exactly, it was the Second Amendment right on what's supposed to be, but I don't think it was, federal property in Washington state. But I don't want to say things that they are not accurate, because I have here the real man, the guy. His name is Anthony-Bosworth. Anthony, are you there?
I am.
Nice to meet you, Anthony. Please, I know a little bit about you, but I would like you to introduce yourself, your background, where you're from, exactly, also where you're located right now, and tell us a little bit about you before we go exactly what happened in this Washington federal property parking lot.
Okay. Well, I'm a native to Idaho. By the way, that's actually where I first met Cope Reynolds several years ago.
Okay.
I moved to Washington State in my late teens, and I joined the military up here. So I've been in Washington State for about 25 years, I believe.
Okay. So where do you live exactly in Washington State? Which town or which city?
Yakima, Washington.
Okay. So, and you're a veteran. You're a retired veteran? I mean, are you active duty soldier or you're a veteran right now?
I am a disabled retired veteran, yes.
Okay, so you're now taking care of your family. And I read a little bit about you. I was doing some little research. I know that you're kind of active, exercising your rights, in our rights. And tell us a little bit. This is not the first time that you do something like that, according to what I know. And then we will go exactly what happened in front of this federal building or whatever it is. What do you do normally? I mean, I know that Washington, right now, Washington State is under attack, especially after the latest pieces of legislation. Do you have a group? Do you work with other people? What exactly you do?
Well, let me take you back a little bit and give you a little bit of background history of how I got started in this.
Please, go ahead.
While I was deployed to Iraq, there was this thing that came out over the wire while we were over there that the veterans would be losing their gun rights when we returned home.
Mm-hmm.
They said that we'd be losing them because we showed the ability to kill.
Mm.
That's when it really started clicking in my mind that something was wrong. By the way, I was probably about 28, 29 when that happened. And I really got concerned about it. So when I returned back to the States, people would ask me, or they'd say to me, thank you for your service. What can we do to show our gratitude? And my response was always the same to the people: stand up for your rights here at home while we're over there defending them overseas.
Okay.
It's always been that. Well, right after I returned home, I mean less than a month after I returned home, the government called for troops that had the ability to deal with armed citizens to deploy to Katrina.
Wow.
I was having a hard time readjusting to being back to civilian life, so I volunteered to go. While I was in Katrina, we started policing the streets as law enforcement, but in military uniform with military weapons. And I'd become very convicted. I was I grew very ashamed of myself for what we were doing over there. And while over there, I changed my personal mission there against the military's orders, and I started helping people.
Wow.
And instead of policing them, and that's the moment it changed for me. I vowed from that day forward I would never participate in the military policing our own streets. That was my point of conviction.
Wow.
After that, I got out of the military and become active in the political arena. And there come up a thing about constitutional sheriffs. And so me and a group of people got together and we wondered about our local sheriff. So in 5 days, me and a friend of mine, we took 250 armed civilians peacefully down to our sheriff's office and demanded a conversation with him, which he accepted. we let him know that we were here, that we did this in 5 days. If we needed to, we could do it way bigger. And he was surprised. But that's kind of how I come out in the public's eye, is over that. And then we got involved doing the I Will Not Comply rallies and in Olympia, that kind of stuff. I actually run for sheriff of Yakima County this last year.
Okay.
Changed the whole sheriff race. I run on a constitutional platform. The citizens should have the right. The citizens should be the ones calling the shots. Our sheriffs should be citizen sheriffs, not law enforcement, because the sheriffs need to understand where the citizens are coming from. Law enforcement should be the employees of a citizen. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of because I've never been law enforcement. And so I run as a citizen, not law enforcement.
Yes.
And we really stirred up the race, got people woke up.
Yes. That's really important. I have a couple of questions, if you don't mind, Anthony. First of all, when you were in the Army, any special, you were infantry, what was your expertise? What was your branch?
I had several. My combat experience was 19 Delta Scout. I was field intelligence, forward observer type stuff.
Okay. And when you got deployed in Katrina, you were pretty much under military control. You were still in the Army, correct? Officially, you weren't just a contractor.
Correct.
So you were pretty much a deployment of military force, and it was even National Guard. I think you were exactly under the Army, just to be sure I got it right.
Yes, I was actually in the National Guard at that time.
Okay.
But I was active duty National Guard. I was activated into the active duty for that deployment.
And everybody knows now, because, before people couldn't believe it, but after the videos, the evidence, even on mainstream news, like on Fox News, when we saw these National Guard soldiers, they were pretty much in denial, or at least many of them, they say, I can't believe it's happening here. I don't want to do this, but they were doing it. And you know what happened? I mean, they were breaking into people's homes and disarming them. What exactly was your mission? I mean, when they gave you the orders, go out, what are you supposed to do? I mean, what was the order when you had to go out? Helping people, or, stopping bad people, or just confiscating guns? What exactly was on your book?
Our initial orders when we got down there was a security force, just to move the civilians out of their neighborhoods, keep them out, mm-hmm. And to keep the peace.
Okay.
It quickly turned into those soldiers of us that were awake and was paying attention to what was going on. We realized the people we needed to be watching was law enforcement. They were the biggest criminal element down there. And so that's what we ended up doing, but we did that on our own. Mm-hmm. It wasn't an order. They just happened to be the criminal element that we watched. Pretty much, we were property guards. We patrolled the streets day and night. They would shift us around periodically because we'd start building rapport and relationships with the locals, and the military would actually transplant us in different places quite often, so we couldn't build those relations.
I understand. And question, did you ever receive the direct order, let's say, now it's time to confiscate guns, like we watch on TV? They were doing it live on Fox News. Did you ever that order ever was given to you?
Yes, the order was given that if we seen civilians with guns, we were to take the guns, yes.
No matter if they were good people just trying to mind their business in their home, maybe in their side of their fence, that would be still a threat for you guys. Or at least it was part of the order, I guess. Wow.
Correct. Our orders was, as long as they weren't law enforcement and they were Americans with guns, we were to take their guns.
And did you ever get any type of threat or direct fire from any civilian during that time that you were there?
Absolutely not. The only weapons fire we ever noticed from civilians is stranded civilians using weapons to draw attention to themselves in a call for help.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
And we've seen many times that was misunderstood as being fired upon, mm-hmm. when it clearly was not. It was they were distraught. They were they were looking for help, and they'd use weapons fire to draw attention to themselves.
Interesting. So you see, the American people, the average American person, I'm sure there are also bad people that were trying to profit, and they were trying to use the situation of mayhem and chaos. But the average American person with a gun, it wasn't the threat. The threat was probably this corrupted, some of the police force that we know they've been arrested, they convicted. They were pretty much, profiting and doing their dirty job. So this is interesting because in all this big mess, thousands and thousands of law-abiding citizens with guns, even, of course, you were just, living through a small part of the society. You didn't go through everywhere, but, you never really had any type of direct fire or physical harm from any civilian, any citizen. Now, let's go back to what happened on this YouTube, because I'll post, by the way, my YouTube also on the website, www.lovegunsfreedom.com. It's like about 5 minutes. This, according to the video, confirm me when happened, please. It was February the 25th or the 24th? When happened? This event in front of the Federal Building, when did you record that? When it was happening?
That was recorded. It happened on the 25th.
So yesterday, it's fresh. This is a real fresh video. And first of all, tell us exactly the location. Which town or which city is this one, and what is this building?
It was the Federal Building in Spokane, Washington, on the east side of our state.
Okay. And who are the subjects in this sort of adventure? I saw you. Correct me if I'm wrong. There is your lady. I hear your voice. And also there is your daughter, correct?
Correct, and my son.
And your son. So it's all your family. Sorry, I miss your son. And tell us exactly why did you want to go there, what you were trying to do. What exactly was your purpose? I mean, explain a little bit your planning of this operation.
Okay. As a lot of people up here can see, we've been raising a lot of havoc here in the state here over gun rights. We've been waking people up, and we got the attention of a lot of other groups, constitutional groups, and one of their groups contacted me. It was actually the 10th Amendment group up here, and wanted to know if we'd participate and support them in their endeavors. Mm-hmm. And it was pretty quick. We didn't have time to plan. It was actually a day before, and we've been pushing for the constitutional groups to work together. So, of course, we accepted that we'd come over and support them. What was happening is there's actually a federal case going on in Washington State right now. Mm-hmm. The Kettle Falls 5. They were growing some marijuana, mm-hmm. and keep in mind that marijuana is legal in Washington State. Mm-hmm. And so they were growing some marijuana, and they found a muzzleloader rifle, a black powder rifle, in the homes of one of these 5 people.
Oh my gosh!
And the feds are claiming that this muzzleloader is proof that these guys were drug runners.
Wow! They're afraid of a muzzleloader.
Antique.
Wow.
Yeah, muzzleloader, black powder. But that's the evidence the federal government is using to convict these people that they were drug runners. And the 10th Amendment Center is there supporting this group because it's a 10th Amendment issue. We legally can have marijuana in this state, and yet the federal government is prosecuting members of this state for that offense. Mm-hmm. Clearly an issue with the 10th Amendment. And so we were there supporting the 10th Amendment group is why we were there. We actually arrived a little bit ahead of time on the federal grounds there. They've got this great big plaza on the corner street. Mm-hmm. And it's very apparent that it's a public plaza, that they designed it for the public to come in, sit down, and, talk on your phone, do your laptop stuff, in the breaks throughout the day. It's very public. There's no fence. There's no barriers.
And I didn't see any sign. Did you see any sign? I didn't see any sign, according from the video, of course, that says no guns allowed. Was there any sign there?
Well, here's the beautiful part about it. Mm-hmm. The sign, the only sign in the courtyard about weapons, and you hear people say there wasn't a sign. I'm here to tell you there was. Mm-hmm. There was a great big sign about 3 foot by 3 foot in brass. Mm-hmm. That enshrined the Bill of Rights.
Wow. Interesting.
That was the sign. The arrest actually happened 15 foot from that shrine.
Wow. This is almost poetic. I mean, it's very sad, but it's almost so good because it is something, it shows really where we are as a republic that pretty much is dying every day more and more. And I see these drones, these zombies, they barely can walk with all their, it seems like they're going to fight the Martians. I mean, the way they are dressed, and they barely can even, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be, offending them because it's really true. I mean, these people, they must have an acute level of a room temperature, and they have such an ego of frustration and repression. Maybe their wife beat them up every day, and they have to play the Rambo's part, and they look very pathetic, in my opinion. I mean, seriously, because to understand, first of all, you were there with your family. I'll tell you, it broke my heart. I saw your daughter with a little, I think she has a 22, or a nice little pink rifle, professional. Yeah, held with a sling, correct. You were obeying your state laws. Correct. You're carrying your, I don't know if it's an AK or a Sega. It looks like what you were carrying the other day. What you had, a Sega or an AK?
I was carrying an AK-47.
AK-47 was a 10 rounds mag you had. It looks like a.
Say that one more time.
Was it 10 rounds magazine?
Yes, just a little magazine. More comfortable to carry that way on my back.
You were doing, nice.
And I deliberately carried it that way, so
I saw that.
It was inaccessible to me, so it was definitely looked like it was safe.
Was super safe. Was completely according to, if I had to look also from the Arizona laws point of view, you were doing exactly everything by the book. I don't know exactly your state law, but I'm sure you know what you were doing. So it was you, your wife, I could see your daughter. I mean, it was like a family, okay, that you were just trying to exercise your rights. As you said, in front of the Bill of Rights in Brass, there was no sign, according to the evidence that I have, that they stated that there was no guns allowed on their holy ground. I mean, I can't believe it. This is supposed to be the federal government with the Bill of Rights, pretty much supposed to be federal if we still had the republic. And you know very well now, every time you go in some federal holy ground, it seems like we are going to Mars, okay, or we're going to some other country pretty much. It's no more America, and we have no more rights pretty much. But anyway, the sad thing that they come to you and they start to ask you questions. And please go more into details, because I know that your lady was giving some sort of identification, and then out of the blue, the marshal comes out. Tell us more details. What happened?
Okay. So we were standing there, and then we were approached by a security guard, a couple of them. One was very friendly, and we were talking about gun rights and the Second Amendment. Second one approached us and told us we couldn't be on federal ground. And I asked her where she got that from, and she goes, "Well, that's just the law." And I told her, "Well, I know the law, and
Which law?
That's incorrect."
Yeah.
And she immediately radioed the federal marshals.
Yeah, we have one of them. He doesn't want to believe that. Not even believe. They just because they tell you there is a law, show me the law. I want to comply with the law. Which law am I breaking? I mean, what's wrong with that? So you didn't give the right answer. You weren't a perfect slave. You were one of them that could see through their BS, and they called the federal bona fide marshal, that he looks like an idiot, by the way. This is my opinion. But tell us, what happened? What the federal marshal told you?
Okay. Just to clear it up a little bit, the first two guys on site were actually Homeland Security.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they look like their badge says Homeland Security, the new Gestapo police. Go ahead.
Correct.
Go ahead. And what happened then?
And I'm engaging in conversation with him about my ID and about the law. He misquotes the law. I correct him on the verbiage of the law, that it's not on federal property, it's in federal facilities. And him and I engage in a conversation. He starts to calm down, because he was pretty upset when he first got there. Yeah. He starts to calm down. We're actually having a very quiet, peaceful conversation. The second Homeland Security guy shows up, and from my point of view, I only see those two. I was unaware of being completely surrounded behind me by them, because I hadn't turned yet. We're discussing about federal land and property, and so I asked the question, well, a reasonable person would not know where state land and federal land ends and starts here, because there's no marking.
Exactly.
It's clearly a public area. And I'm trying to get him to show me where the public, or where the state land and the federal land starts and stops, which he kept saying sidewalk, Well, the whole thing is a sidewalk. There's different paths everywhere, and I'm trying to get him to show me exactly where he's talking about so we could apply with his request, even though I know he was wrong.
Yeah.
And by then, the little guy shows up, and he was actually the federal marshal.
Yes.
And he comes up immediately aggressive, seeing that I'm already in a conversation with these two Homeland Security guys, which are remaining calm.
Mm-hmm.
And he's being very aggressive and poking at me over it. And so I continue, and I don't know who he is. He's plain clothes. He has no badge on. There's nothing to identify himself. He failed to identify himself. As far as I knew, he was a civilian. So I continually to engage in the conversation I'm already having with Homeland Security guys.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this upsets this guy. And he comes over and says, if I don't leave, I'll be arrested. And, of course, I engage him also and say, well, what for?
Yeah.
And he says, for being on federal land.
Wow.
And I basically state to him the law doesn't state that. And I corrected him also. I go back to discussing the property line with the Homeland Security guy, and the marshal walked around to my left side, and I was assuming he was just taking a different position, but he reached out and he took me by the hand, and I was assuming he was moving my hand so he could look at the sidearm I was carrying, which I was carrying a Glock, thanks to Cope, by the way. And so I just nonchalantly moved my hand so he could look at the pistol, and then he grabbed me by the hand and twisted it behind my back, and in doing so, I had a cigarette in that hand.
Oh, my God.
And he smashed the cigarette between his hand and my hand, and he was starting to get burnt. Cause, you know, I'm a welder by trade, so I've got calluses, so the heat isn't hurting me as bad, but I knew he probably was feeling it, so I tried to help him, and I said, hey, let go of my hand. I have a cigarette there. You're getting burnt. And so I pulled my hand away from him, and then I dropped the cigarette.
Oh, my God.
Well, then he proceeded to say I was resisting, and I said, I'm not resisting. I was just trying to get the cigarette out of my hand. And then the Homeland Security guy said, well, let's take his rifle off his back. And so I start taking orders from the Homeland Security guy. You know, he said, move your arm so I can get this rifle off your back. So I'm proceeding to move my hand out to the side so he can get the sling off.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing so, the federal marshal's twisting my wrist and trying to put it back behind me. The Homeland Security guy on the other side is telling him, hey, relax a little bit. Let him move his arm so I can get this rifle.
Yeah.
Well, the two of them start arguing.
Wow.
And they're jerking my arm back and forth, twisting it around.
Jesus.
They finally, the federal marshal got a cuff on my loose hand at that point, or on the hand that was towards him, my left hand, but he had yet to get the other hand cuffed. And so the Homeland Security guy is still trying to get this rifle off my back over this cuff. And finally, I just let him take my hand and cuff it to the other hand, and then they just took the strap apart to get the rifle.
I see that.
But they were confused. They were fighting amongst each other.
Yeah, I see
and the
that.
whole time I'm telling them both, hey, you guys need to calm down. You know, I'm not resisting. No one's getting hurt here. You guys are starting to get amped up. Relax a little bit here.
This is insane.
And, I spent 90% of my time not defending myself, but trying to get them to quit fighting each other and quit getting so amped up.
Yeah. And I want to say, everybody, you gotta watch this video, because this is, if it wasn't so serious, would be comical. Seriously, these people, they cannot even tie their shoes, you know, and think at the same time. Seriously. And the sad thing, you know, you weren't resisting anything. You were the most peaceful person I may ever meet. Okay, probably in that situation. And not only that, I want to give you really credit. You are super cool, because when you have somebody that doesn't even identify themselves and start to put their hands towards my gun, you know, the first instinct say, what are you doing? Are you reaching out for my gun? I mean, you were very, very super cool, and you kept it very calm and under control. Because I'm telling you, these people, and more important, your lady, she has a lot of strength and courage, because she didn't stop recording. Kept recording. They were trying to push her away. I saw that. But the point, you had them all on video. And think about it. These are like the scum of the scum. Unfortunately, it's true. There are also some good people among them. But these people, this bunch that I see, especially the marshal, that I think really has a mental problem, in my opinion. Besides that, there's some complex of inferiority. Maybe his wife beat him up. That he has to try to do this sneaky attack to get you, like, you were talking, you know. And they can even decide who's going to get your rifle. And more important, how dare him try to say that you were resisting arrest. Even just to think Think about how much they would have used against you if you were in a dark alley. They would have tased you, beat you up, and then tell to the world that you were resisting arrest. So I'm glad that everything went okay. So you got arrested. What happened? Did you go where? Where did you looked up?
Well, let me throw this part in here a little bit before we move on real quick.
Yes.
That little Marshall, the one with the little man syndrome, all the way in there once we got away from the camera, he was actually taking one of the cuffs behind me where he was hiding where the camera couldn't see because he was standing in the way. And he was taking that one cuff, and he was twisting just that one cuff sideways and almost to the point of dislocating my wrist.
Wow.
And I tell him, hey, calm down. There's no reason to try to put me in pain. I'm not resisting. I'm walking.
Oh, he was doing intention. He wanted to provoke you in reaction. He wanted to provoke you to fight back, just to say, I'm hurting.
Oh, yeah.
And boom.
Yeah, it wasn't probably. He was definitely trying to provoke me into violence. He was definitely trying to get me to react so they could do something more. And this went on all the way to the 4th floor of the Federal Building. Mm-hmm. And I've been constantly doing that. Like when they take me into the hallway and they'll get ready to open an elevator or face a door, they're getting ready to go through the door, they would have me face a wall. And when he would tell me to face the wall, he would shove me into it instead of, I'd turn to face the wall, and then he'd give me a little shove to slam my face into the wall, by him holding my cuffs. Just being overly aggressive, not hurting me, but, just trying to manhandle me.
Yes.
And I thought, I didn't get upset. I remained cool to be all the way through it. But I felt that the need that, okay, there's a time that I need to, to speak to him on this subject.
Yes.
And I finally turned to him, and I said, you need to understand something. I spent 18 months in Iraq. There ain't nothing you can do to upset me. There just isn't. I know what you're doing. I'm on to you. I'm going to be cold as an ice cube. And it upset him that he couldn't upset me.
Yes.
And so, he was taunting me all the way. The funny thing is if you watch the video real closely, you'll see me talking to one of the marshals. I actually had to get the marshals to unload because they kept pulling my Glock out and playing with it. And I told them, hey, that's loaded. You need to drop the mag, and you need to clear that chamber.
Yeah, they don't even probably know that.
So I had to instruct the marshals through unloading and clearing my weapon.
Oh, my God.
I didn't notice the AK yet because somebody else had it. When we got in the building, they're flagging everybody with my AK, and I look over, and I see the mag still in it. So I had to tell the other marshal, you need to drop that magazine now and clear that chamber.
Wow. This is a really,
They had no idea.
This is very serious. These people are supposed to be the one to defend us and keep us safe, okay? Just for the record. They can even keep themselves safe, muzzling each other and us. Now, where did you lock you up? You went in a room. It was like you were uncuffed. How long all this drama lasted, when you were in this federal building, this holy ground?
They ended up taking me to the 4th floor, and they took me into a detainment area, and then they put me in a room. This room was 13 feet by 13 feet. I could actually give you the dimensions of this room because I paced it so many times.
Wow.
And inside this room is a steel cage. They took me into a steel locked room and put me in a steel cage inside this room.
Like an animal.
Yeah, exactly. And there was 3 cameras on me at all times. Then they left me in the room. There was lights in the room, but there was nothing else. It's all stainless steel room. There was a stainless steel toilet in there. Immediately, I noticed there was no toilet paper. And so just being normal me, I picked up the empty roll of toilet paper and I held it up to the camera. Mm-hmm. And I spoke to the camera and I said, I pay you enough tax dollars. You can at least give me some toilet paper.
Yeah.
Well, that went on. They actually didn't give me toilet paper until 4 hours into it.
Wow.
They wouldn't give me toilet paper. And when they would come in, I'd ask for it. Hey, where's my roll of toilet paper? They wouldn't give it to me.
So you got at least 4 hours in this room. More than 4 hours you were there, right? So far.
Yes, so far.
And what are the charges, first of all? To put you in, did you ask, am I under arrest? What exactly? They just can't kidnap you now? I know that under the National Defense Authorization Act, pretty much they can lock you up and put you in a box and ship you maybe in some, rendition jail, maybe in Egypt or whatever. You disappear. We know that. This is the law, guys, by the way. I remind you, I've been saying this so many times the last year or so. We are living right now in America before pre-Magna Carta. We have no more due process. We are pretty much under National Defense Authorization Act. Any one of us, just because suspected to be terrorist, and we know very well the definition of terrorist now, I don't want to repeat you again, and you know very well the veterans on top of the list as a potential domestic terrorist, you can be kidnapped, indefinitely detained, and pretty much not have access to due process, judge, lawyers, nothing. You're gone. So, right now, did they ask you, did they say, by the way, you are under arrest and these are the charges? Did they tell you anything like that?
You're going to love this, Luca.
Go ahead.
I actually asked them twice before entering the building, before they took me into the building, two questions. Am I under arrest? I need to call my attorney. They just chuckled at me. That's all.
Really? Wow.
When they put me in the cage, before I actually breached the door, the second door into the cage, I said, I want to talk to my attorney now. And the marshal laughed at me and said, you don't get an attorney. Attorneys are for Hollywood.
Really?
We don't have to give you an attorney.
Oh, my God.
And I said, well, we'll see about that. At that point, mind you, now I started to worry.
Yeah.
Before, it's just a process.
Yeah.
When he said that I didn't get an attorney, instantly I started thinking of NDAA. And I'm thinking, well, this isn't going to go well because I know there's a lot of people outside this building that is not going to be happy if I disappear. But that was my worry when they put me in the cages. They're not going to give me an attorney. I'm going to disappear somewhere.
Yeah.
And so throughout the process, when the FBI showed up, I asked them, where's my attorney? And am I under arrest? At that point, the feds did offer up, yes, you are under arrest. You will be arraigned. You will see a judge. You are facing federal time.
Okay.
And I was like, okay,
For
where's
what?
my attorney?
Yeah.
And they said, well, and the Fed said, we don't deal with attorneys. That's not what we do. If you get an attorney, that's up to the federal marshal.
What were the charges? What did you do so terrible besides walking on holy federal ground? It's supposed to be, by the way, our ground, but that's another story. What did you do? I can
tell you what I did that was so wrong. I can tell you exactly what I did wrong. I was an American. I acted as such.
That's pretty much dangerous in those days.
They didn't like.
Yeah. And so, meanwhile, I know I was worried about your daughter and about your wife. I mean, your daughter was carrying a rifle. Please remind me which little rifle was it? Nice little pink rifle. What rifle was that?
It was a .22 Cricket.
Oh, cute! I like those. The one you get the single shot that you.
And both of my children were.
Yeah, they're very nice.
It's a single shot.
Perfect. So I was worried about her because maybe they're gonna mess with this poor little child, you know. And what's about your wife? She was. I couldn't see it. She was carrying something, or she was just doing the video camera.
She was also carrying a Glock sidearm on her side, and she was also carrying an AR-15.
Perfect. Is the perfect lady. And now, you have also a son. I couldn't see the son in your video. How old is your son?
He is 5, almost 6, and he was also carrying a Cricket rifle on his back. Keep in mind, as a responsible parent, I had pulled the bolts out of those weapons. They were carrying weapons without bolts.
That was, I think, one of the most important day of the learning experience. If I had to think about a school, that would be the most important day at school for a child to understand when it's time to stand up for their rights. And I think they're never going to forget. But the point is, nobody mess with your family. They didn't touch your wife's weapon. They just told her to leave. I mean, what happened with them?
One Homeland Security did try to place her under arrest. They grabbed her hands and twisted them behind her back. She did break free from that Homeland Security guy and told him that she was not going to be arrested. She had young children on site and that she would not allow herself to be arrested. It appeared that the Homeland Security guy that was on site, the big guy that was off to my right, he appeared to be in charge. Excuse me. He told his officer to leave her alone, that they would not be arresting her today.
Wow, at least he had a little bit of decency, because I tell you, at least as much as he looks like a moron, at least he has 2 fingers of decency to understand that she's a mother, she's not trying to hurt anybody, and she has to take care of the children. I'm glad at least they did that right for a moment. Now, what happened? You've been how many hours in this sort of a 13 by 13 special room? 4 hours, 5 hours? How many hours they pretty much kidnap you, in my opinion?
Well, there was no clock, so I had to guess at the time. They actually put me in cuffs right around 8 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
They fed me lunch. I asked the guy that brought me, by the way, it was an expired lunch meal. It was a luncheon meal, and it was expired by a couple months.
Mm.
When he come in and threw that into the cage to me, I asked him what time it was, and he said, somewhere around noon. And so, I was detained for, an hour and a half, 2 hours after that. So I was in there 5-6 hours.
Okay. And then what happened? I mean, did they let you go? I guess you're now home. But how did that happen? You were so dangerous to humanity and to the nation. I mean, why did they let you go?
Well, they brought the FBI in. Excuse me. They brought the FBI in, and they also brought in a local law enforcement officer. Mm-hmm. What law enforcement he was with, I'm not sure. But it appeared by what he was, just his demeanor and what he was saying, that he was like a local cop.
Okay.
Not federal. And they come in together. The federal, they showed me their credentials, but they did it in such a way I didn't have time really to identify them by name and stuff.
They just flash it at you.
They both give me, yes, basically.
Yeah.
And they both give me a first name. The federal marshal, I asked him for his last name, which he did give me a last name. And that has something to do with later what's coming up. But then they started asking me about the movement, about the political leaders, what we had intended, when were we going to become violent, just questions like that.
Oh my God.
They started playing mind games with me, like they'd take my coat and they laid it outside the cage where I could see it. And
what?
To most people that won't mean nothing, but seeing when I was in Iraq, I had to deal with some CIA guys interrogating the enemy, and so I started recognizing what was happening. Wow. And they take some of your personal belongings and they set outside the cage, and what it does is it gets you thinking about you could be out there with it. That's your stuff.
Yeah, it's a psychological.
They don't put it away or anything.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and that's what they did for most of the time, is just try to mess with my mind. But, I seen what was happening, and I did play along a little bit. I said, hey, can you pick my coat up and hang it up? You're walking on my coat. And he goes, we don't deal with that, as they continue to walk on my coat laying on the floor. Mm-hmm. And it was a nice dress jacket. And then at one point they come in and they took my belt and laid it outside the cage so I could look at it. Wow. And then a little bit later they brought in my driver's license, and they laid it on top of the coat so I could look at it. And then when they come in, they would mention stuff like federal offenses, prison, long-term prison sentences, that kind of stuff. And then they would ask more questions about, leadership within the movement, who's all on your team, that kind of stuff. And then they were, then the FBI guy got real friendly, and, he's like, I don't understand the Constitution like you do, maybe we should talk about it. And I said, I'll engage in conversation with you about the Second Amendment any day of the week. So we'd talk a little bit about the Constitution. He'd try to divert the conversation over to the team again.
Yeah.
And I would divert it back to the Constitution, And then I finally got bored with them, and I just basically told them, all right, guys, I'm done talking to you. I need to go to sleep. And so I need a lawyer. And they said, we can't help you with that. And I was like, well, I'm not talking until I get a lawyer. And so they sat there for a while, waiting for me to talk to them.
Yeah.
And I just laid down and was going to go to sleep and everything. And so they finally left. And then throughout the rest of the day, the federal marshal, the little guy, kept coming in, and he kept making these comments, some friendly advice. If you just drop this and you quit, good possibility if you do it for a year, this will all go away and be nothing. There won't be any charges. But you just need to quit for a year.
You need to be a good slave. They want you they want to show an example that the moment that you put your head down and you are a good slave, they will let you go. And the point that they know, they knew, if they had something on you, they would have even told you that. They would have just slammed you on the ground and say, you're under arrest, and that's over. And you got charges, and you will see the judge or be arraigned maybe the next day or whatever. They knew they had nothing on you, and this is pure intimidation. This is pure like, no, even the mafia does that. I mean, for God's sake, the mafia got more ethic. At least they used to have some morals in their own evil way, okay? These are cowards, snakes. I don't even know. Did you need to wash your hands after you touch them for a few seconds? Because they're so sleazy. I mean, this is disgusting. And I tell you what you're telling me. This is our people. They work for us.
This is how sleazy they get.
My God, go ahead.
People need to understand when they're trying to be nice, they're not really trying to be nice. One of the things they tried playing with me is they come in and they said, "Oh, we just wanted you to know that for now your wife is safe."
Wow.
I know my wife and children are outside the building, and they were telling me that my wife was safe right now, that nothing's happening to her, that she's still with the kids. And they were like, we're sure that your other kids are safe at home. Well, that there tells me that they're already digging. They already know, who I am.
Mm-hmm.
They already know that I have 3 more children.
Wow.
And they're at home, and they're older. The oldest is 16, and the other 2 was with the 16-year-old. And so they said, "So how many kids do you have?" Well, when they just said that, they knew that my other 3 kids were at home. They know how many kids I have.
Yeah.
And they're just basically poking me with what they know about my family, and they know the locations of my family members, doing that kind of stuff. But if you hear it in a recording, it sounds like they're just being nice, letting me know that my children and my wife are safe. And by all means, that is not what they're doing.
Well, that's a veiled threat. And even for an immigrant like myself, they know the term. It's called good cops, bad cops. And even when they were trying to do the good cops, they were just lazy bastards trying to send you a message. Because I would have asked, yeah, my wife is safe. Now, what do you mean? What's going to happen to her? Bastard. I mean, this is so sad. This is so disgusting. They know that you are a law-abiding citizen. They know that you are not a threat. They know that you done nothing wrong. On top, you are a veteran, for God's sake. They treat you like, even I think if they had to find some real person that is trying to commit a real crime in the Middle East or wherever they're from, we know, by the way, it's a scam. They're setting us up against them. They're creating them. But that's another story, another show. What I'm telling you, they know very well that you're a good person. They knew it. They have nothing against you. They need to create things. And they're trying to intimidate you to even take your children and trying to somehow use your wife as some sort of a blackmail. This is disgusting. And that's why I want you today on the show, because I want to post this show on YouTube, beside on the radio and on Guerrilla Media Network. I want everybody who's going to listen to the show in the next few weeks or few days or few months, doesn't matter. This is time to show that people like Anthony and his family, they are not alone. And if they want to they think they can boss around somebody like him just because they think they got him on the corner and he's alone. We show him that it's millions of us. And I say millions. I live in Arizona, for God's sake. I'm ready to jump in the car and to do the next walk around the freaking public property that we pay with our tax dollar. Every brick, every stone that these fat asses, they walk over it. They need to ask us permission because we paid for that building. We paid for that parking lot or whatever it is, that area. And they need to remember that even their salary comes from us. So if somebody decide who has the guns, maybe we should tell them if they can carry a gun or not. And according to the basic safety rules that you just told me, I think that many of them, my opinion, they should be probably sent back to school. Okay? Now, sorry, I'm getting kind of vented.
Well, this will make you happy, Luca.
This
will make you real happy.
Go ahead.
We're not done. When the last thing I said to them before they kicked me out the building, before we go back here and finish this up here, but the last thing they said to me is, please consider just quitting and going away.
Just quitting.
And I turned and looked at him as calmly as I could, and I said, boys, I'm just getting started.
Good.
Well, I'm telling you now, Luca, within the next 2 weeks, we're going back to that federal building, and this time we're going back in high numbers, and we're all being armed.
Excellent.
We're going to go back, and we're going to stand on those federal grounds and say, federal ground belongs to the people of the United States. This is our ground, not yours.
Please keep me posted. I've never been in Washington State. Maybe this is going to be the time I'm going to go north for a few days because this is so important. Important. Now,
you're more than welcome.
Listen to me.
So,
go ahead, finish up because I want to know the end of the stories. You get back home, everybody's home, you're having dinner with your family, praise the Lord, and the day was over, right?
Well, no, we ended up fielding phone calls and everything else. I mean, we have state representatives involved.
Good.
Let me tell you this here, Luca.
Yes.
While I was in there, about hour 5, about an hour and a half before it was all over, I noticed an automatic change in their demeanor. it wasn't a game so much anymore. They become a lot more laid back, a lot softer in their push on me. They're still trying to push, but they're being a lot more careful now.
Yes.
And I notice it, and I'm wondering what's going on outside this building right now that's got them changing. I mean, they're literally being really careful now.
Yes.
And so I'm concerned what's going on outside the building, why they've become so subdued now. And when I walked out the doors, and there was people there and everything, I found out why.
Why?
We had a local militia here in Washington State that works really closely with the sheriff of that county.
Yes.
That militia, their commanders, contacted the sheriff and said, "This is what you're going to do. You're going to go free that man now.
Wow.
We're giving you a chance. If you do not do it, we got 250 armed militiamen that are willing to do it for you.
Oh my God.
This is your last chance. Go free that man, or else we're coming."
What is the name of the sheriff?
The commander and the XO.
What is the name of the sheriff?
It's the 63rd Lightfoot Militia.
Okay, and the name of the sheriff of that county. What is the name of the sheriff? You know that?
Ozzy Knezovich.
Okay, and the county is?
Spokane County.
Spokane County. Okay, is that a good sheriff that you know? According to, I mean, what type of sheriff is that? Is it a constitutional sheriff or just somebody doesn't care, get his paycheck?
He's definitely a politician. We've had some big issues with him over the last couple of years. We had a MRAP rally down there because they just got the MRAP, the military MRAP.
Yeah.
And we got on film one of his officers saying that they got it to control patriots and constitutionalists.
I saw that.
Or, excuse me, let me retract that.
I saw that,
He
yes.
made the statement that to control conservatives and constitutionalists.
Yeah, and he also ran out of town.
So that was a big blow up in his face.
Yeah, and he ran out of town when somebody wanted to talk to him. He just sent out his sidekick to give some answer to the media. Okay, listen, this is exciting at the same time, kind of disturbing what you're saying, because this is serious. This is real. We've been talking about the Patriot Act, the National Defense Authorization Act, the Military Commission Act, all these different things that normally we think they're just there on paper, so we are safe. No, this is happening. I mean, American people, please listen. I don't care if you're left or right. I don't care if you believe or not that a free human being should have a gun, law-abiding citizen. That's not the point. The point here, look, due process. Let's start with that. I mean, when you have a marshal or a federal agent laughing at you, when you just demand the basic constitutional, protections, and this is not a constitutional right. We have unalienable, God-given rights. The Constitution doesn't give us rights. It's just to constrain the freaking government. And they laugh at us now. They know that there is no more protection. The National Defense Authorization Act pretty much put out of this cage, this beast. And they're smelling the blood. And this is our blood. So now, all I can say is this. We must unite as Americans. We must get together. And I don't care. This is not happening to me. No. Tomorrow is going to be me. Tomorrow is going to be your brother. Tomorrow is going to be your family. So we got to start to do now. Be proactive. And show him that when like a dog, when a dog's trying to nip your butt, what do? You kick it in the face. Okay? Because you need to say, stop. Now, I'm not advocating a violence. I'm just saying, let's show him an example. We are united. We will be vocal. We will do everything to put this in the public opinion. And more important, we need to start to stand up together because that's our rights. We know that if that is public land, or at least there is no sign, and in Washington State, you have the right to open carry a rifle, and this man and his family wasn't doing anything wrong, there is no way that he's supposed to be intimidated, coerced, in submission like a slave, and put in jail with all this bunch of garbage. Insane. Now, last 60 seconds, I want you say if somebody can help you out. Are you planning to sue this bastard? Are you doing looking for an attorney? If we can, whatever we can do here in Arizona, tell us.
Well, we definitely are looking at fighting the citation for failure to comply. That's what they dropped everything to at this point. They did make it clear that they're holding federal charges until the state attorney's office figures out what they can and can't do.
Failure to comply. You comply.
So
you comply.
Yeah, that's what they got me for.
Wow. So you need some attorney to help you out. You need an attorney to help you out in Washington State. So are you already contacting somebody? I mean, I'm sure this is going to get a lot of media attention. I mean, I already see your video. It's got over almost 12,000 views right now, okay? And this is just the day after. And I hope a good attorney, pro bono, a patriot wants to understand that we need to defend our rights right now. I hope he can help you out pro bono, for starter, okay? I mean, that would be something nice. And more important, in my opinion, I would like to sue these bastards. I don't know how, I don't know on which ground, because probably right now with the new laws between the National Defense Authorization Act and the Patriot Act, pretty much they tell us they can do whatever they want to us legally, even torture you. I don't know, but I will still try, because I hope we can get a jury maybe. Maybe we can start to, really make pay some of these people. Listen, I want to say, first of all, thank you to your wife. Thank to you, to your kids, to standing together. And this is for me exactly the America that I came for when I left Italy over 16, 17 years ago, because we are not slaves. We are human beings, and more important, we have rights. This is the only country in the world where our forefathers fought and died to give us these unalienable rights that pretty much nowhere in the world you can do things like that. And the moment that we stop doing them, we pretty much give the idea to these wannabe kings and lords and just evil people, by the way, because for me, these people that they know the Constitution, they know what's going on, they know you are a good person, they can see your record in 5 seconds. If you had anything on your record, if you had any type of felony or whatever, they would have shoot you first and then talk later. They knew that you were just doing...
Exactly.
Okay, just exercising your rights. That's it. They say, guys, can we talk? And that's it. And move on, That's it. No, they knew. And they're cowards, because when they see a real criminal, they coward. When they see a good person that they know that is not going to do anything wrong, they come at you like a pack of coyotes, and they think they can pretty much show who's boss. That's why I'm so disgusted with them. Seriously. I give you the floor.
Luca,
whatever you want to say, go ahead.
Let me say this. That's the great thing about America, is the Constitution, no matter who you are, where you're from, and what you have done, the Constitution does one thing. It unites us all.
Exactly.
It's one thing in common, no matter who we are. As Americans, that piece of paper is a paper of to unite every one of us under the same protections. And that's the great thing about it.
Exactly. And we got to fight back together, my friend. I never met you. Maybe I don't know if I'll ever meet you, but I consider you and your family. I consider you part of my family. And my prayers, first of all, are all with you. And more important, that we are just a few hours away by car. Okay. I don't fly anymore because I don't want to be arrested to defend myself against sex offender at TSA, but that's another story. What I'm saying is, let's see now what they're going to do. I'm sure you have a lot of good people around your area that they're understanding, and they need to start to stand up around you. Try to understand, show them to these evil people that you're not alone. At the same time, like happened with the Bundys, these cowards, subhuman species of excrement, okay, they need to understand that there is a lot of big part of this country that is watching what's happening right now there. And we are peaceful, but at the same time, we will not tolerate violent acts, unconstitutional acts, and more important, tyranny. You upon a law-abiding citizen, you upon a veteran, you upon a family that's done nothing wrong, but just try to exercise the basic human rights. So we are watching, we are here, and my prayers for you and for Maria, Anthony, and please be in touch. And, you got my email. By the way, you're on Facebook. I would like to say everybody's listening to the show. I will post on today's show, also on lovegunsfreedom.com, the link for Anthony Facebook, so you can maybe say hi to him and be in touch with him. And let's see what's going on. That's what I'm saying. Okay, Anthony?
Thank you, Luca.
Thank you.
Thanks for the prayers, and God be with you also and protect you also.
Thank you, my friend. Let's be in touch, and you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. Don't go away, because we have the final hour, some more interesting, exciting news, and it's time to stand up. And more important, it's time to show them that we are not afraid of any of this. At the end of the day, we're going to be afraid only when pretty much, the regrets of the things we didn't do when we had a chance. That's the only thing I'm afraid of. Thank you, Anthony. My best to your lady and your family, okay?
Thank you again.
Bye-bye. And that was Anthony. Anthony. I have no words. Anthony-Bosworth and his wife, Maria. You heard the story. I invite you to watch the video on lovegunsfreedom.com, today's show, the short YouTube, to show the arrest, to show the dynamics, and then listen to his story. Is this the America that pretty much our forefathers fought and died for? I mean, listen. Now, I don't care if you really believe or not about the Second Amendment. That's your personal opinion. You can keep it. That's fine. But think about it. Tomorrow, let's say if you were doing like a peace rally, or you're protesting about Bush or something else, and they arrest you without any type of reason, and you ask for a lawyer, and they laugh at you, and they pretty much detain you with not really any charges. I mean, come on, guys. Stop playing this left and right stuff. The National Defense Authorization Act was passed with Congress, with the Senate, and Obama. All of them, they're responsible. And this time was the Democrat Party. But before was Bush with the Republicans. So they're all equally evil. Please wake up. Okay, don't go away. Let me get a coffee here because I'm getting stressed out. And be ready for the next hour, final hour, Love, Guns, and Freedom. And all I can say, God help us. And more important, we have to do our part. Stay tuned.
Have you ever met someone on an online dating site and thought, wow, this guy is perfect for me, or she is simply amazing, only to find out they were hiding a deep, dark secret? They plan to vote for Hillary. FreedomLovers.us was created for singles who want to exchange ideas and a love for freedom. People who are looking for solutions to create and defend freedom in the real world, and at the same time getting that once-in-a-lifetime chance to find their true soulmate. Whether you are interested in meeting your soulmate, making new friends, networking, or hanging out with that like-minded liberty lover, visit FreedomLovers.us. It's the first free dating site and community. So patriots, don't waste your time with other dating sites. FreedomLovers.us is the place where like-minded singles really live. Have you ever met someone on an online dating site and thought, wow, this guy is perfect for me, or she is simply amazing, only to find out they were hiding a deep, dark secret? They plan to vote for Hillary. FreedomLovers.us was created for singles who want to exchange ideas and a love for freedom. People who are looking for solutions to create and defend freedom in the real world, and at the same time getting that once-in-a-lifetime chance to find their true soulmate. Whether you are interested in meeting your soulmate, making new friends, networking, or hanging out with that like-minded liberty lover, visit FreedomLovers.us. It's the first free dating site and community. So patriots, don't waste your time with other dating sites. FreedomLovers.us is the place where like-minded singles really live.
Here we go. This is the final hour. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on K-Talks 1340 AM and on Guerrilla Media Network. This final hour, was kind of a crazy hour. When I came out with the idea of this show, I wanted to do something to reconnect to our humanity, because after all, we can talk about guns and freedom all day long. But if we forget who we really are, there is no reason really, after all, we're doing all these sacrifices. We try to fight, to expose the evil, to be ready against evil, because after all, we want good. We want to fight for good. And when I think about this, I think also about my journey as a human being and the opportunity that I've been given since I came to America. And I really believe that nothing happens by accident, and I came to this new opportunity because I don't look at this as a career. I never really wanted to be a radio guy, but I look at this as an opportunity to reach out my fellow humans, my fellow Americans, and also humans from around the world. This show is broadcast on the internet all over the world because a man, okay? This man is kind of a character, and we met during the years because I always believe destiny play a big part into it. And one day I went to his radio again with a crazy idea that, I like this sort of extravagance idea. It was the religion of freedom idea. And I still believe in that. And that day, Mr. Dave Hayes, that is also used to be the owner of K-Talks, came out with this proposal. Why don't you have a radio show? And I was almost laughing because honestly, I never really had that type of, I don't know what I call ambitions. I mean, who am I? I mean, I can barely speak English, for God's sake. But anyway, I took this opportunity and I thank him because I really, during this last almost 15 months since I started this new opportunity, I had the opportunity to meet many new people and learn a lot of things and try to grow also as a human being. So today I have here with me Dave Hayes. Dave, are you there?
I am here, Luca.
How are you, first of all?
I'm wonderful. And, your story is, it's moving to me because when I first met you, the passion that you have for what you believe in and just your interest in general, I think has been very uplifting. And if that could translate onto the airwaves, then it doesn't really matter if you can't speak that well, or because it translates over the airwaves. And I look at yes, the radio station is sold, but a lot of people and I believe that a lot of times when you're, let's just put it this way, when you're moving, if you believe in what you're doing in yourself and what you're doing, and maybe the rest of the group doesn't, but you have it in your heart that what you're doing is right, you should just move forward, because leadership, when you're leading, there's nobody there to tell you that you're doing right or wrong. You're leading. There's nobody there to be behind you and say, we're behind you for this or that. You have to lead. And I think you're a natural born leader.
Thank you.
And it comes out over the airwaves. I think that you're a natural talent, Luca, and that, I believe that through my life, and, I look back at my life because the first part of my life was in the music business as it was in yours.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a company called Dr. Dream. And that really goes back to when I was a very young man, and I had a good friend of mine say to me, Dave, keep your dreams alive, for there are those who cannot dream. Show these people the way. And that really struck me. I was 19 years old. He wrote that in a poem to me.
Wow.
And I was looking for what was I going to do with my life, He also said, bring your dreams to light. Others carry the same light but are afraid to let it shine. Show them the way.
Wow.
And it really struck me hard when I was 19, and I decided I was going to dedicate my life, really, not just to my own dreams, because my dreams was really making other people's dreams happen. I'm one of those people that watches, a young artist on a stage somewhere just singing their heart out, and they're just so talented, and I'll break down crying because I'm so just absolutely filled with joy of just, I can't explain it, what it is. But in my life, I look back at it now, the radio thing is just, the last 15 years. But in my life, there's a lot of people over the years that what I created or what I had done, I was kind of a catalyst for them to really launch their careers. And people that are very well known and very famous, that were interns of mine, and people that I gave them their first start, their first break. I feel that way with you, Luca, because I think you have a great future ahead. And I think that if you continue on with this medium and continue on with even, moving into video and so forth, that you have a future that is very bright. And sometimes it just takes a risk for somebody. People want to put you in categories, and I look at it this way, Luca. Everybody has an opinion. I may not agree with their opinion, but I will defend their right to have it. And if you're going to say that you're about freedom, that means you have to be tolerant of the people you don't like. You have to be able to have a common ground of that freedom that we share.
I agree, Dave. There's a lot of
people out there that disagree with me on issues right now. But, like I said, when you're leading, you can't expect other people to agree with you. Sometimes it takes time for the future to catch up. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, let me interrupt 1 second, Dave. I want to say something. First of all, Dave, I tell you, I was witnessing, first of all, as a listener, I've been listening to K-Talks for a long time, and more important, I saw K-Talks play a very important part during, I don't want to use the word civil rights, I don't like that. I'm talking about rights when we were fighting the county in the corruption years ago. I tell you, there was no other radio out there that regardless, that sometimes you may agree or not, that's not the point. It was a completely free media, and I really respect that. And I say something, I have a lot of things that with Dave we may not agree, but the point is, Mr. Hayes, K-Talks, is being, and I can say that because I'm there. I'm there. And the only radio that gave me and could give me the opportunity on the air, I'm not talking on the internet, I'm talking a real FCC license, to say things that any other radio station, I could even have a chance. And sometimes, we agree. Many times we may agree. The point doesn't matter. The point is, when we're talking about free, independent media, that I don't know. I don't know if I'm ever going to have another experience like that on the air for this. And I want to thank you for that, because you say something right. The show is about freedom. I have many times guessed that I don't agree, but doesn't matter. The point, we try to find a way that we can have some basic things that we are in common. We have. But thank you, Dave.
The reason I brought up all that history from before is to say this, is that I never did this to make money. I never did this for all the same reasons a lot of radio station and broadcast owners do it. This for me was the opportunity to speak the truth. And it got me in a lot of trouble. I paid the price. It's a high price to pay. When you have to say goodbye to accounts or to advertisers because you choose to speak the truth as you believe it, and not without fear that you're afraid you're going to lose that business. But guess what? What's more important? You being true to yourself and the truth and how you believe and freedom, or the money that you get. Because that money is what keeps those radio stations from allowing messages of free speech and free ideas and free thinking and critical thinking and being critical of our government and questioning everything and not taking everything that people say or government hands you or your favorite politician that you voted for. How many times have they disappointed us?
It's true.
It's true. Luca, stood on the steps of the county administration building with the record of John McCain. Nothing more than the record of his and the sheriff. And I mean, you got harassed. That was wrong. There are things that our local government, the government closest to us, they're the ones that are going to put you in handcuffs. They're the ones that are going to come to your door.
It's true.
Don't worry about UN forces. Don't worry about, because it's the corruption that's within our own communities that we have to watch out for. And if the police, I mean, that's what the media is supposed to be. But the media around here, I'm afraid, and around the world, not just here.
It's true. No,
they're afraid. They can't afford. It's too expensive to tell the truth.
It is true. Unfortunately, it's true. And, I want to give you really credit for that, because sometimes you hear these things and from outside, you can have an idea when you're a listener, and it's not really your world. Then when I started to get close to you and go to the station and start to see the reality, and also myself, because, I have my show also on your show, on your radio mostly,
right,
and beside the internet, and realize sponsors, how they think. It's like a mafia, honestly, and I understand very well it's a small game, it's a small world, and there is a lot of gossiping, and more important, there is a lot of fear to do the right thing. And one thing I tell you, I just hope that, first of all, the new owner does whatever you think is right for the radio. Of course, this is the station, but at least he can keep the honesty in the news, because I tell you, I see so sad when I see, propaganda, pure propaganda. That means when you have a senator or a politician that pretty much is being given 1 hour or 2 hours on a commercial station, that pretty much can say whatever he wants or she wants unchallenged by the host. For me, it's kind of a propaganda. I hope that
well,
in the news we can still have something in K-Talks that we cannot find.
Let me address that, a couple of things that you said there. One thing is that when it comes to the news, this is something radio stations and people will not tell you. They are biased. I don't care what side you're on, whoever's editing, picking the stories, choosing what you're going to hear for the day, because there may be 100 stories, but we can only fit 4 of them into a minute. So they are using the power of making choices of what you hear, what you see. They are biased. K-Talks is biased. Mm-hmm. Bob Moore is biased.
Yeah,
Dave Hayes is biased. If I see a story about some child molester, I'm going to do it because I got a jihad against child molesters. You get what I'm saying? So, but we have to admit it. And whether we're on the right or the left of an issue, look for the media that allows everybody to have their say, not just in calling in, but actually giving programming and time to those different opinions and different political ideas, because that is truly an American station. When you have a station that only puts on one side, the side that they all agree on, or the side that all their advertisers agree on, that is not American.
I agree.
That's everything we should be fighting against.
I agree.
And all I'm saying is don't be fooled, by wolves in sheep's clothing. I can't speak for Steve Rubin. Steve Rubin is the new owner. He's in his late 30s. He's a young man. He's very successful. He has the resources and the intellect and the abilities to do wonderful things with the station. He loves radio. He comes from a background of radio, but that's not really where he's been successful. But he loves radio, and he's got his intentions, according to what he's told me, and according to how this particular arrangement and deal has gone down, he's planning on keeping K-Talks pretty much the same and expanding on local programming. Okay. So I think he understands the value of local programming. He understands, being a owner-operator situation, and I'm confident that he's going to do a good job at the station. Now, just on a side note, to give you a little history, a lot of people aren't aware of this, but over the years, K-Talks has been for sale multiple times. In 2008 or 2007, it might have been then, I had an offer that was just through the roof, and then the banking industry went to crap, and the financing didn't go through, and the buyer couldn't buy it. When my dad originally was diagnosed with cancer, we had put it for sale through a broker, and that didn't go. It never sold. Then I put it through another broker a year or so later. Mm-hmm. And these are radio brokers. All they do is sell radio stations, buy and sell radio stations, and it didn't sell. Finally, I put it on. I just did it through real estate, listed it commercially.
Yeah.
And that's it, and really had no buyers for, months. And then all of a sudden, I had a lot of buyers, a lot of interest, all coming at once. And then I had really 4 offers. And fortunately, I got to make a choice who will move forward with it. And it wasn't a choice about who paid the most money even. It was about who is going to keep the spirit of the station moving forward. And I was blessed to have Steve come along. Now, he owns it. He may find that, that plan won't work or whatever. He may change his mind. I don't know. But that's his intentions. And, everybody out there, please understand how important it is to have community radio and have access, not just to one side, the right or the left or the middle or the whatever, but to have programming that appeals to every facet of our communities. And for me, I don't know that I'm completely out of it yet, because I've been doing it for so long, Luca, that I need time away to kind of reassess my life and what I'm going to do. if I do decide to come back into media, I will be fully recharged and ready to go.
Perfect. So right now, what is your plan? I mean, taking a little bit of a break?
Well, I've been writing a book, and I've at a point with the book where I need to really, it's a book not about me, but it's actually about the story I was starting at the beginning of this interview of all those people, where they ended up.
Wow.
There are people, Shag, the artist, he's designed one of the Fremont experiences in the Mandalay Bay. He did the Tiki Bar there. He's a very famous artist. He was he was actually one of my artists, for 15 years.
Wow.
Then we have Ron Pastuca, also a very famous artist. His name is Roman Pastuca now. All kinds of folks that have won, people that do all the trailers that you see in movies.
Yes.
Like, I think I've shown you some of the work that, that's Donnie Bracamanes, otherwise known as DB. There's all these people that were, an intern in my warehouse, is now the guy who runs the entire Warp Tour for the for the Warp Tour. Where these folks ended up, all these young people.
Are you going to stay in California?
It's about dreams. It's called Dare to Dream.
Dave, are you going to stay still in Needles area, or are you going to drive it around?
No, I'm hitting the road. I've got all these people all around the country I'm going to be interviewing.
Oh, great.
To finish the book. So then, when the book's done, I guess then I'll have to find a job.
Okay. And I'm sure you're going to have some clarity of mind to realize where you want to land the next adventure. All I want to say, Dave, is this, really, from the bottom of my heart. It's funny because it is really, this is true, guys. If you want to blame somebody, why I'm here, blame Dave, okay? And I don't care if K-Talks may keep my show or not going. At that point, the new owner will decide. But I really believe that what Dave did for me gave me the opportunity to believe in myself in this new challenge, because normally I write songs or I do other things, but this is for me was a new challenge. And today I really believe this is important, and regardless if I will do on K-Talks or not, I will do on the internet, I will do everywhere I can. And I wanted to thank you, Dave, as a brother, even sometimes, as I said, the beautiful thing with Dave, we had a lot of times we disagree on issue, but was always civil and always respectful. And more important, sometimes we think we disagree, but we agree on more things than we can believe. It's just sometimes that we are trapped into this first layer of superficiality, I want to say, because we've been trained to be separated just because sometimes, it's part of the game, the part of the game. That's why I want to say, people that normally go ahead, Dave.
Okay, you're totally aware of that, and everybody has. I have to tell you, I'm sure I defend you as much as you defend me out there in different circles.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I always say,
what I have to say to those people is that this is what it's about. This is what life is about. It's about choosing who we're going to be in a world of diversity. And it doesn't mean we have to hate others or disagree with them or cause them. We can disagree with them, but we don't have to cause them harm.
Exactly.
And I think that's the thing that is troubling. But Luca, you're a natural. I told you that from the beginning. There are people out there that can naturally do things. You're a very talented person on many, many levels. And the world is, it should be happy that you're in it. And I hope that you use that all those God-given gifts to do, what's right and His will, because that's what really ultimately matters. And we don't take anything with us when we leave this planet.
I agree.
Except who we are. Except who we are.
Dave,
so,
I want to thank you again.
Important.
I want to thank you again, and please, we'll be in touch regardless. You let me know when is going to be the official date of you leaving the station. I would like to come down first of all and see you. And I know you're not going to go to. Still going to be around here. I mean, even if you go around the country, we're going to get together.
It won't be happening until mid-April, probably.
Okay, so let's be in touch in the next few weeks, and I'd like to meet the new owner. And at the same time, I have a message for I read some post on Facebook regarding people that I don't want to mention the names. It's no worth. People anyway that you've been in this long, endless. I don't know. This is almost childish, I tell you. I read some posts from people that I am in contact through Facebook myself, but I had no idea that came down to such level of personal attack, seriously. I mean, you have a radio. All you try to do, you try to bring news and facts that I know that can be many times disturbing for...
The unfortunate thing about a lot of that is they make it impossible for me to respond to them.
Oh, I know.
And so it's very difficult. But they have their own life to deal, and that's who they're deciding to be. And, I'm not going to be that, and I don't want to be that. And sometimes they do drag me into that place of, hatred or retaliation or whatever. But I do feel when they hurt my friends or others, that's when, something needs to be done. That's when good people must stand up and do something. So, I just pray that they'll get over it and realize that what they're doing is only hurting them.
I know, and that's my point. These are grown-up men, okay? And I'm not here to judge anybody. The people do whatever they want, and I'm always been out. I got my mission, I got my show, and that's all I care. But from outside, seriously, regardless what people may think of Ace and his, politics or his even philosophy about, this is, guys, I mean, look at yourself. We can leave this planet anytime, seriously. And some of these people, they are not exactly anymore in a very young age, okay? And what is the point to spend all this extra energy on something that, by the way, also I think it's really doesn't make any point, It is just for pure evil. All I can say is this. This is wrong, and Mr. Hayes, I've been witnessing in my own with my own eyes. Regardless, sometimes, we can drive each other crazy, but this man and his station has been, for me, the only station that we still have, and I hope we will have, freedom of speech. That's all I can say, and that's all I wanted to say. So I wanted to thank you, Dave.
I love you, man. Take care. You know that.
And let's get together soon when Mr. Rubin comes in town. I'd like to meet him, okay?
All right. You got it.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. And there was Dave Ace. As I said, I really owe him on this one because I never really thought that I was going to be able to be behind the microphone on the radio, and he gave me the opportunity. He gave me even the strength to believe a little bit in me in this one. And more importantly, he gave me a platform. He gave me K-Talks, I'm telling you, as much as I said, we drive each other crazy sometimes, and we did, but less and less, because more and more we understand how much really we've been brainwashed in being divided as human beings. We believe we have more things in common than less. The point is, regardless, I have, and I had on K-Talks completely freedom of speech. Dave never came to me to tell me what to say, what I can't say. I mean, of course, there are some basic FCC rules that you must comply like on any other commercial station on the air. But beside that, I never had any type of interaction about the topic or the people, the names I can use. I mean, this is amazing, amazing. That's all I can say. I want to thank him for that. And, as I said, so far I have not any type of news regarding that the new owner may change or whatever the programming regarding the show. But regardless, the show is growing now, and my opinion is beyond K-Talks. I mean, we are on Spreaker.com. I see the statistics grow. They grow every week. On Guerrilla Media Network, it's been replayed twice now, Sunday and Monday. We got a bigger audience there. YouTube, some videos on YouTube. I mean, I rebroadcast the show on YouTube. I guess some shows they get like 8,000 listeners. I mean, it's probably more than many local radio stations. So I'm pretty excited. And there is, for example, now also a new deal that we have with the Watchmen of America. Just you heard them during the first hour. I will start to rebroadcast the show, Love, Guns, and Freedom, also on WatchmenOfAmerica.com. I mean, they got like thousands of members there. So anyway, the point is, regardless, and I will always try to find new radio stations where I can pretty much share this message, this information with my fellow Americans and humans from around the world. Because as I said, the cause of freedom, it is not just an American cause. It's a cause of humanity. Of course, I'm an American. I believe that I have a duty to defend this republic. And this is where I commit my struggle and my fight against evil and tyranny. At the same time, I wish my fellow human beings from anywhere in the world. I don't care if you're in Italy, France, Germany, or Africa, wherever you are. You stand up for your rights, because what we're facing here, it's a global tyranny. Now, enough rant. I say a little bit of music, and then we go back to something fun. Well, it's going to be a surprise. Meanwhile, let me give you a little song, and I dedicate this song to K-Talks and all the listeners of K-Talks that have been supporting K-Talks all these years, and of course on Dave. And Dave, I wish you a safe trip wherever you're going, and I'm sure you're going to find more ways to pretty much interact with your humanity and the rest of the world humanity. And I really hope also changing for the best, like you've been doing for many years here, some other people's life, okay? From love, really. I consider you as a brother in freedom, Dave. Thank you. Okay, guys, you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. Enough said, and a little bit of music, and talk to you after this. Was The Last Ride, music by myself, Luca Zanna. Now, little bit of, surprise. I always like to give you surprises. First of all, this is the hour about, crazy hour. I call it wild hour. We can pretty much do almost everything we want. It's about love, though. And, for me today, the first part of this hour was about love, First of all, be grateful. And as a human being to human being, I've met these days and the opportunity, and more important, to have the chance to interact with you guys, the listeners. That was magical. Now, I'm going to do something. Before we go ahead with the surprise, I need to remind you a little bit how we support this show. As I said, K-Talks itself is being pretty much being supported by listeners. Because the loyalty, first of all, comes to the truth, comes to the listeners, and that we need help from the listeners. Don't get me wrong, I love sponsors. Whenever they come, they're welcome, but they must be sponsors that they do not want to influence the content of the show. And, of course, I would like also to select sponsors that I believe in, okay? I don't like to bring you here people that I do not believe. That's simple as that. Now, to support the show is very simple. All you need is 99 cents. And you can also get something really good. You don't just give 99 cents for nothing. You get also a beautiful song. I have more than 100 songs that already been sold all over the world through Amazon, iTunes, different outlets, Tower Records, and also, of course, on my website, www.zanna.us. And all you gotta do is select one of my over 100 songs. Select it, download it. The original version, 99 cents. Doing that with less than the price of a coffee, you can support the show. Then, of course, you can also go to my new website. It's called Zanna, Z-A-N-N-A, art.com. And beside the music, also there are other interesting things that I do for a living. There are some leather creations, and I also offer paintings. And, by the way, the paintings, they're kind of unique because, first of all, reflect my philosophy, my beliefs. I don't just paint anything. Check it out, And, also you can get postcards or prints out of the painting for just $10. And the beautiful thing about my paintings, you call the price. You say the price you think you like or you would afford. And then I tell you yes or no simply, but that's the best way. So anyway, I'm very excited about that. Now, another thing I want to share with you, and it's free, 100% free. It's freedomlovers.us. It's incredible dating, and not just for dating, but it's a freedom-loving community online. Go to freedomlovers.us and join. It's free. Create an account, upload your photos, put your profile, and the idea is to meet like-minded individuals. Okay, we are all individuals. People who believe in freedom, that we have individual rights, that we respect each other's rights. We don't want to steal from each other. We don't want to use the government's coercion to get from other people what is not ours. That's the spirit. But also, we want to find maybe that like-minded special person. There are women, there are men, there is everything. And also if you are just a guy that is already pretty much, booked and busy and committed to another person, no problem. There's also a place on freedomlovers.us where you can pretty much do business, network, meeting like-minded people for the cause of freedom. You can upload videos. You can write blogs. You can also sell things on the free classified, completely free. So go to freedomlovers.us and I appreciate it. Now, as I said, today's show, I wanted to pretty much broadcast from a different point of view. I will broadcast from my jacuzzi. Yes. And I want to broadcast, and not only I want to do part of the show there, the last few 20 minutes or whatever we are left, but also I want to sing a cappella from my jacuzzi. As you know, maybe, or maybe you don't know, I am launching a new project that I really enjoy. It's called the Italian-Serenader. My grandfather, when I was in Italy, I was a child, gave me the love for singing, serenading. I remember when I used to go to his office in Anzio, he had already a guitar there, and, I was my 10, 11 years old, and it was kind of amazing, he started to sing for me. And there were songs from another era, songs from the 50s, sometimes even the 40s, The point is that it was for me like almost exploring a new world, and it stayed with me. When I left Italy, when of course my grandfather died, that was one of the best memories I had with me. Now I came to America, I did all my beautiful things that I'm so thankful and grateful I had a chance to do, started my businesses and music and everything else. At the same time, I always had with me this love for the serenades. And normally where I used to play or sing was in the bathroom when I'm doing the shower, or in front of friends. When I have my few intimate moments that I invite friends at my place, I sing, I enjoy that, especially after a bottle of wine. Now, I'm launching a new project. It's called the Italian-Serenader. What it's about? It's very simple. Go to the website, www.italian-serenader.com, and you will see me in a different clothing. For the moment, I need to put my Glock undercover. It's going to be under my jacket. I still have a gun with me, don't worry. And I'm dressed pretty much like a penguin. I have a tuxedo. And I'm the Italian-Serenader. And you can see I do live shows, and I do also private parties, weddings, corporate events. And bottom line, what I do, it's an interactive show. First of all, what is a serenade? The serenade is it is a very characteristical form of singing that belongs to the Italian tradition, especially during the Renaissance, okay? Normally they used to be under the window of the lady or the milady or the woman. The man or the lover used to come there and used to bring with him the serenader. So the man, he didn't sing really directly, but he brought his serenader. And he used to sing love songs. Normally they were very melodic songs. And there was also, of course, some love message that the serenader introduced to the lady. And meanwhile, the man who was there paying the serenader and, witnessing this event. Now, what I'm doing here, it's kind of a little fun. I'm the Italian serenader, and pretty much what I'll do, I'm already organizing some live shows in the area of Laughlin and Las Vegas, and I'm pretty excited. I already got some very great feedback about it. And also I'm doing some private events. I got, for example, a wedding coming soon. But at the same time, I also do this over the phone. And I say, by the way, I will do for you guys, for the listeners, the free service. You can send me an email. Go to the website, lovegunsfreedom.com. Send me the email of the person with the phone number of the person that you want to dedicate a serenade. What happened, I will call them, I will call her, or I will call him, depends, whatever is she or he is, and I will share your love message. You tell me what type of message you want to say. Doesn't need to be just love, could be also, anything. And share the message, and then I will sing a serenade. Free for you guys, for the listeners. Meanwhile, for anybody else, if you go to italian-serenades.com, you can pretty much have an idea what's going on there. Now, I'm ready to go in my bathtub. I have a beautiful jacuzzi that is warmed, and I'm going to lock now this studio for a second and continuing the broadcasting from the jacuzzi, where I will sing for you live, okay? Without music, just with the pretty much, naked, and I mean literally naked, okay? Because I'm going to be in the jacuzzi, but don't worry, I always have my gun on me, okay? So, and I will sing for you a couple of songs. Hopefully you enjoy. So, don't go away. Let me put another little bit of song so I can walk to my jacuzzi tub, and then I'll continue the broadcasting from there. Stay tuned. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on K-Talks 1340 AM.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman.
I'm not afraid.
And a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth.
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Gianluca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
Hola. Here we go. Beautiful. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on K-Talks 1340 AM, and this is Luca Zanna. And we are broadcasting right now from my bathtub. Maybe you say, I don't believe you. Guess what? I think you should. Yeah, this is the third hour, final hour of the show, and it's all about love. And, we've been talking about, in the past, about recipes, food. Of course, also there is Freedom Loving Singles, freedomlovers.us, that I always bring you singles from around the world that want to meet pretty much like-minded people. And, different type of locations. I've been broadcasting from the middle of the night, from the high desert, 7,000 feet elevation. There was not even desert, it was pretty much mountain. Broadcasting from walking around the block, doing the Thomas Jefferson walk with my guns, open carry, and different things. Now, today I said I want to change location. And the idea is because I really have a lot of inspiration when I'm here in my bathtub. And also I really relax. And after all this hour, the final hour of Love, Guns, and Freedom, it is about relaxing. I would like, first of all, before even we start this final part of the broadcasting, double check a couple of things. First of all, let me get something. It's very important to think that no matter because you are in the bathroom, you are in the most vulnerable place. And unless you live in a castle that is made of, reinforced steel walls, still, I like always to have my Glock with me. So chamber check, mag check, done. Okay, so that's number one thing. Number two, to help my relaxing moment and also to help my creativity, I like to have some red wine, organic red wine from Italy. And today we have some nice Chianti. Here we go. I already poured the glass. It's like kind of a big glass, but slowly, just a little bit of appetizer. I feel already better. Now, there is a way to say, I think it's in the Bible. At the end of the day, I don't think it's in the Bible. After all, I'm not a preacher. I don't know very much the scriptures. I try to study, but I'm just a regular guy. But this is something, it's a common saying, at least in Italy. The best revenge against your enemies is living well. And unfortunately, we have a lot of enemies. If you believe in freedom, we are surrounded by enemies. Think about it. Just this week, we had an agency like the ATF, pretty much acting like some overlord, start to create regulations that they can tell us what type of ammunitions we can have or not. Last time I checked, I never voted for any member or any bureaucrat working for the ATF. We elected Congress. Now you may believe it or not, you may agree or not with me about the gun issue. That's not the issue. The issue is, do we want to be living in a country where we have elected representatives, or we want to live in a country where a bureaucrat, today could be your guy because he's an Obamanoid, tomorrow could be a Bushoid. Still, this is tyranny. So why an unelected bureaucrat now can pretty much, with the magic power of a pen, start to create regulations that they're above our Bill of Rights or Second Amendment or just our basic laws passed by Congress? That's the first question. And then look, another thing we had this week. Think about it. We had FCC, this pretty much mysterious group of people working as bureaucrats, even here, not elected, pretty much they did pass regulations above Congress. Now, some people may believe that this is all good and peachy and hunky-dory and it's good for net neutrality. This is another Obamacare, by the way. When you will be able finally to read what type of regulation they really pass, because now we have no idea. Or we know that this is the official press release by the White Nazi House, because that's what they're, a bunch of Nazi. And when I say Nazi, I don't say this lightly. Nazi, it is not just some sort of a dispregiative way. It is pretty much the National Socialistic Party. That's what it was. After all, it's a corporation working with the corporations. The government now is no more a government by the people for the people, but it is pretty much a government for the corporations by the corporations. And all these regulations that they are passing, pretty much, they are dictated by big corporations, like the Obamacare. Now, what I was saying, before I get back into this trap, because I'm trying to vent down, I'm trying to relax. It's kind of hard, but this red Chianti is kicking in. The water here, it's beautiful. And I'm just saying a prayer to my Creator to thank Him, to give me this moment of peace. And as I said, one day at a time, let's do carpe diem, as Horatius used to say. Enjoy the day. I say carpe orum, means enjoy the hour. You never know what's going to happen the next hour around here anymore. People may start to disappear or just, commit suicide with 2 bullets in your head. I don't know if you get a hint, but anyway, regardless, let's enjoy this moment of peace. Let's look at the big picture. Let's look at history of humanity. It's been always a struggle. fighting against evil, against tyranny is nothing new, okay? And we're here, we do our part, we do what we can. At the same time, we must try to, every night, recharge our batteries, enjoy life, and be able to go back tomorrow into the fight. Another day, another struggle. And as I said, or as I was trying to say, the best revenge against our enemies is to live well. So, and you don't need to be rich, you don't need to be famous to live well. You know, a good meal, a friend, a wife, a husband, just the company of your cat, okay, and a good glass of wine, being healthy, being able to find ground, you know, and understand the relativity of everything. After all, sometimes, you know, we put a lot of effort and weight in things that are very important in this dimension. But when you look at the big picture of the world, of the universe, try for a moment to isolate your body, your soul from your body, and try to start to like you're flying, and you look at yourself from 50 feet. Wow, that's me. Then you go higher, 200 feet. I can't see myself anymore. Then you start to see it 1,000 feet, and you see all little ants. And that's us, humans, you know. And then you start to go into the universe. And what is really the world? It's a small little ant. And Obama, who is Obama? It's nothing. It's less than pretty much, I don't know, a microbe, okay? Yeah, it is evil, like Bush is evil, like the New World Order is evil, and that's why we're here, because we need to expose evil. That's the bottom line. Meanwhile, as I said, the best revenge against our enemies is living well. So, if you like your beer, if you like your wine, if you like your tea, whatever you like, enjoy it, have a good meal, say a prayer, whatever God you believe, and be thankful for what you have. And the first thing, when you have health and love, you're already a rich man, in my opinion. You're a wealthy man. Now, today I wanted to surprise you a little bit. I don't know, I already told you, I have a new project. It's called the Italian-Serenades. I like to sing serenades. That's in honor of my grandfather when I was in Italy. He was the man that pretty much he started me into listening all these classic Italian songs from the past. And when I grew up, of course, I got busy, you know, about other things, but I always had it in me. And when I came to America, I don't know, call it nostalgic, call it some sort of my heritage. I always brought it with me. And at the beginning, I used to sing mostly when I was my first few months in Los Angeles. I used to do restaurants. I used to sing at restaurants. I also used to do private serenades. It was kind of fun. I really enjoyed it. And then, of course, I started to create my other businesses, and I kept singing in the shower or in the bathtub, like I am right now. So, and of course, now I'm creating this new project. It's called italian-serenades.com, and I invite you to go check it out. Pretty much, I really like to go out and do some sort of a show. Remember, the serenade is not like a singing opera, okay? It is not like doing a Pavarotti show. No, serenade is some sort of, let's say, interaction with the special person. It could be a woman, could be a man, and you are just a messenger of love or a messenger of emotions. Normally, the serenade started during the Renaissance in Italy, when these, under these windows of these women, of these miladies, or queste signore, their man or their pretender, the man that wanted to marry them or wanted to pretty much propose themselves, they used to go under the windows and bring the serenader with them. And the serenader pretty much was doing the songs that they were ordered or they were commissioned by this wannabe lover. Okay, so now I will sing for you some of my serenades, but without music. And a cappella, because otherwise you think, you know, after all, can you really sing? That's a good question. Now let's see if after the wine and 12 hours of pretty much work, I can still sing. Parla più piano. Parla più piano e nessuno sentirà. Il nostro amore lo viviamo io e te. Nessuno sa la verità, nemmeno il cielo che ci guarda da lassù. Parla più piano e vieni più vicino a me. Voglio sentire gli occhi miei dentro di te. Nessuno sa la verità. È un grande amore e mai più grande esisterà. Insieme a te io resterò, amore mio, sempre così. Parla più piano e vieni più vicino a me. Voglio sentire gli occhi miei dentro di te. Nessuno sa la verità, è un grande amore e mai più grande esisterà. Okay, that was the live serenade from my bathtub. And this is Luca Zanna, and you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. Now, the song that you just heard, hopefully without music you were able to identify the theme, was exactly from the famous movie The Godfather, Parla più piano, translated in Italian. And you know probably the version with the guitar. Na 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 na. By the way, that's a love song, believe it or not. Doesn't really have to do much with the mafia or other things. It's a love song, and I will post also the lyrics on lovegunsfreedom.com, and I will also post on lovegunsfreedom.com also a version of myself singing it with the real music, okay? So at least you have an idea. Anyway, I really enjoy this song. Now, what else? I want to remind you, first of all, to our sponsors. And guess what? Our sponsors, it's you. You, the listener, okay? That's, for me, the most important sponsor, because the loyalty, it's to you. And you can sponsor the show with just 99 cents, as I said also in the other hour. And sometimes I say, my gosh, you said already twice. You're right. Because differently from NPR, National Propaganda Radio, as I say many times, we do not extort your money with the government, through the government. Remember, we pay National Propaganda Radio, we like it or not. Here, I'm here because you want me here. And the way you can prove that you want me here, it is just 99 cents. How to do it? Very simple. You get also a song with 99 cents. You go to my website, www.zanna.us, and you can download any of my songs. There are every type of songs, from romantic to rock to political, you know the story. Now, next serenade. I can just go with one song only, okay? So since the wine is flowing, let's go something else. Let's see. Something calm, because I'm kind of calm. Okay, let's see what we got here. Oh, all right. I say we should go with something classic from Rome. The place where I was born and I am from. Let's go, for example, with Roma, non fa la stupida stasera. It means Rome, don't be foolish tonight. Pretty much help me out to conquer the heart of my beloved. One. Roma, non fa la stupida stasera. Dammi una mano a fare di sì. Scegli tutte le stelle più brillarelle che c'hai, e un friccico di luna tutta per noi. Fai e senti che è quasi primavera. Mannali meglio grilli pe fa cri-cri, prestami il ponentino, è più malandrino che c'hai, Roma, Regge Mermo, Colo stasera. And that's the club in the water. That was Roma non fa la stupida stasera. That is a very romantic song, by the way. Now probably without guitar, without music, it's kind of hard to understand, but maybe you got an idea. Thank you very much. You've been listening to Love, Guns and Freedom with Luca Zanna, and God's willing, we will see each other, or we will talk to each other next Sunday. Ciao. You're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom with Luca Zanna on Guerrilla Media Network.